Good afternoon, good afternoon. 40 people by the people. Another Sunday, another show. Kind of crazy, bro. This time change kind of put a put a twist on things. How did it affect you? I bet you had to get up an hour early, or better for you?
Well, it's the same thing, you
West
know?
Coast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all have to roll our clocks forward.
Yeah. You know, I had a event last night, and at 2 o'clock, the time went to 3 a.m. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
Lord, this is going to be, less losing an hour of sleep. But, it is what it is. I think Mr. Honorable Yaya Menteng is here. Good afternoon, Honorable. How are you?
I didn't see him. Did you accept him?
No, I did not.
Yeah, you gotta accept him, man.
I'm always. Good afternoon, Honorable.
It's already good evening here. How are you, Mr. J?
Buddy, yeah. You already pushing it evening, huh?
Yes, but very soon. Sorry, how are you?
Good, the Honorable Yahya.
I hope don't did not affect any one of you.
No. Absolutely not.
Okay, that's good. That's a good one.
First time on 40 people by the people. We've always tried to bring you on.
That's correct. It's always a pleasure.
Without a doubt.
To interact with people who know more than you know, who are exposed more than you are.
I don't know about
so
that.
So that's a pleasure.
No, we're exposed with loud mouths that always try to wing it. That's a whole.
So how are you?
That's a difference. Doing well, sir. How is everything?
Good.
Everything
is well.
Ramadan Mubarak.
We are done. Same to you.
Sorry, I'm going to start out with, we have a lady here in Atlanta that passed a couple of days ago, Auntie Sally. It was a huge
that's
pillar.
too bad. May I show that in perfect peace.
Amin Ya Rabbi. So I'm just going to take this opportunity to play a video, obviously honoring her, but also the person on the video is Makumba Cham, who passed away about a year and a half ago. Also a pillar in the community. So I just thought we start out with that.
كان للشيخ من كرامة قول فاخرات دأ بهذا الماء كان للشيخ من كرامة قول فاخرات دأ بهذا الماء خالقة إمام أكثر من أنام تقصيا أو يأتي بها الخلقاء من أن كان تابعا نجحا ليس عنه يقر.
Thank you very much. I just thought I played that in honor of Auntie
Sure,
Sally.
it's in perfect peace.
Yeah, remembrance of Makumba Cham as well. The community hasn't been the same since his passing. And obviously, all our especially the Kejo Toures and all of our fellow diasporans that passed away. Yal na leen Yàlla sotti yërmande. Brother Marong, last week, crazy. And of course, diaspora voting is going to be the main issue today. That's why we decided to bring Honorable Yaya Menteng. We reached out to the other side as well so that they can explain their vote. I reached out to Alajimbo, left a message. And I also talked to Almami Jiba a couple of days ago, and yesterday we spoke, and he told me about they're having an evening iftar, that kind of thing. At least we wanted to bring.
You will never have them here.
No, yeah, don't say that.
No, but I gotta be fair. Alajimbo has been here several times.
Do your best, and get them.
But again, Yaya, we thank you immensely for joining us this afternoon. And we're going to start out. We're going to start out. Yaya, something happened. You were there. Can you kind of walk us through what happened? We are talking about an election act. There were a lot of clauses and sections in it, but for whatever reason, this one, they decided to delete it, removed it. Just that one and that one alone. Can you walk us through how this whole thing went?
Mr. Morrow, again, this is just the normal National Assembly proceedings, actually, a consideration stage of the bill, where National Assembly members, look at each provision one by one, look at the merits, its implication, to improve the implementation of that law, just to make it a good law. So when we reach at this particular, but before reaching at this particular clause, in the morning, you can see the movement among the NPP NAMs that they are after something. When we are going into consideration stage of the bill, that early morning meetings, where sitting there and others will be rushing, calling their members, it always arose our suspicion. I was like, something is about to happen. I never knew the election clause, we were going to treat it that very day. But that early morning suspicious movement, if that is happening any day, you know that they are up to something. So when we reach there, we reach at this particular clause. I'm so disappointed was the minister himself not very honest to the National Assembly, because sometimes we do rely on the minister for interpretation. So the members were not comfortable. I don't even know why they are not comfortable to maintain the diaspora voting. So when it happened, for me, my submission was, if you look at Section 39, it is already an interpretative section by the Supreme Court. National Assembly cannot undo that. The Supreme Court ruled the diaspora must vote, shall have right to vote. So the National Assembly going against the interpretative section of the Supreme Court. So I asked myself, what is the real essence of separation of powers? So in other words, National Assembly has gone excess of their legislative limits. We cannot remove that section. We just do it, but we cannot do it. We don't have that power. We have acted in excess of our powers. So it's very disturbing that National Assembly members will meet and remove that progressive clause all over the world now. Diaspora voting is a trend all over the world. Maybe Gambia is the only country that's not encouraging it now, but in West Africa here, let's ask ourselves, which country is not encouraging diaspora vote? Or which country is not doing diaspora vote? It's only Gambia. The answer will be only Gambia. So it's very, very sad. The NPP camp connive favorably, conveniently with their independent NAMs and remove the diaspora voting. As of now, as I'm speaking to you, there is not like diaspora voting in the election act before the National Assembly.
So Honorable, you talked about the Attorney General. You also talked about that this is a settled case. It went all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said diaspora voting is constitutional.
That is correct.
And here, because I was watching it too when it was happening, I heard what the minister said. And we also
Correct.
witnessed the framing of it by the speaker himself. And for whatever, so to me, and to really any reasonable, and I bet, Sariang, you don't like me saying that, any reasonable person looking at these things, it looks like it was planned, that these people came there to remove that rules. So,
it was.
So how do you see the role that the Attorney General played?
It was a favorable conspiracy, and the Attorney General was acting behind the scene to confuse members, especially I'm sure even the meeting they held in the morning, I did not see the Attorney General, but I'm sure he was behind the scene. I'm very, very, very sure of that. Most of these constitutional issues, if you see NPP members leaning on some of these constitutional presentation, or know that they have got the inspiration from the Attorney General office. Trust me. So the Attorney General, you can see he was not even defending it with an attitude. In fact, even the Supreme Court ruling, it was some of the lawyers who work in the National Assembly who brought his attention to the Supreme Court interpretation. Trust me. So when that interpretation was brought before the Attorney General, you can see he doesn't even have the attitude to defend it. It was like, yes, the diaspora can vote, but the National Assembly members still need to do A, B, and C.
Yeah, Hello? Go ahead, Mr. Maro.
Yeah, so the Attorney General, he was leading everything behind the scene. I can also say that with authority, he was leading everything behind the scene. Because if you look at the speaker, in fact, the speaker was on our side. If you work the proceedings very well, the speaker was on our side.
The speaker was on our side?
Yeah, exactly. The speaker was like, let's put it down. Look at the video very well. Look at the proceedings. Work the proceedings very well. You realize that at the beginning of the whole proceeding, the speaker wanted us to leave this this particular provision there. But when the members connived and backed by the Attorney General, then that was the time they now confused the speaker. But the speaker wanted to put the vote whether to leave it there and for the National Assembly to go further and do certain amendments. Do you understand? To the Constitution. That was the speaker's position initially. But later he was confused by the Attorney General and his members. Subsequently, it was removed.
Sariang.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Sanyang, for coming on the show today. So, Honorable, I watched the proceedings as well. And if you could, in a layman term, what does, clause 39 means, for some average person? Because there's a bit of confusion where, the Attorney General was on the record. He said, diaspora constituency needs to be demarcated. So what do you understand that in a layman for folks to kind of have a very good understanding of that clause, and what were you guys trying to accomplish that day?
You see, if you look at the clause in the Constitution, it is like diaspora shall have right to vote, but shall register in the National Assembly constituency of the Gambia. That is like telling, literally, that's like Sariang or Mr. Jam must come to the Gambia and register in Latrikunda Assembly constituency, in Basse constituency also. So that was a subject of interpretation. But the Supreme Court, the highest apex court, rule said, and let me quote, this court finds and declares that pursuant to Section 39 of the Constitution, every Gambian, including those residing outside the jurisdiction, is entitled to register for and vote in elections to the offices of the President, members of the National Assembly, for local government office and traditional rulers, as well as in the referendum. So the Supreme Court cleared our doubts here. The Supreme Court did not say you must come to the Gambia and register in a particular constituency. The Supreme Court just said you shall register as a Gambian and vote in any election. That's why the Supreme Court acted in their abundant wisdom, started from the office of the President down to it as simple as referendum. So we don't have anything to do here now. The Supreme Court settles this, Saria.
Okay. So I guess my question is, what if I understand you correctly? Because I've seen the pull and push between Low Salum, Mr. Jawara, and Suleiman Saho. Then Suleiman Saho tried to give more meat to this particular clause, and
Correct.
Jawara was saying, "Oh, no, that's not what it is." And again, I think the Attorney General didn't do his due diligence, and
He didn't at
when
all.
he came, so he waffled, was very unclear of what this is, because what they are trying to say, demarcate, that doesn't make so for example, if I wanted to vote in Brikama, Newtown, or whatever, Dasilame, I don't necessarily have to come. So I think that's where the confusion, but I really think the Attorney General could have set the tone right there and say, hey, you know what? Let me explain these things to you guys for you guys to understand. This is already a settled law by the Supreme Court, and the Supreme say A, B, and C. What is incumbent upon the NAMs today is do B, and I think that's where he didn't do, and that's where. But yeah, what was the atmosphere at that point when he said this? Because I was watching, none of you guys, like on the opposite side who are in foot, didn't stand up and say, no. Actually, that is not the interpretation. Let's go and interpret this, and you can question the attorney. How come that is not done at that point, and you guys let the thing slide?
That is also very unfortunate, Sariam. But if you ask me, anybody sitting there that very day, the Attorney General know the law more than each one of us sitting there that very day. He has more experience than all of us. When the lawyers of the National Assembly brought his mind to this area, as Attorney General, the chief legal advisor of the government, he should not go further to confuse or to mislead the National Assembly. If it was a very serious National Assembly, you could have even had quantum proceedings immediately. But that is very unfortunate. You are right, we could have brought his attention to the as National Assembly, but also the lawyers of the National Assembly brought his mind for it. Do we need to further educate the Attorney General on this simple interpretation, literal rule, give simple words there, simple dictionary meanings area? We don't need to go for. Yes, in out of office. We should not be, back and forth with him on this simple interpretation. As I said, simple words there, simple dictionary meaning. We are going to restore the diaspora for that particular day.
So just to make clarification, when you said the National Assembly Legal Department, that's when he said, I am just reminded of the ruling, is it BB Dabo versus whatever?
Thank you very much. You follow it. Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the time.
So he's been reminded. He's been reminded, but still went ahead and mislead the. Okay.
Exactly. Exactly. Correct. That is it. That is correct. That is correct.
All right. Thank you, Musa. Go ahead.
So honorable.
Yes.
Let's look at this thing. Again, here I go again, Sarian. Reasonable person would know that the current government, just like during the time of Jammeh,
correct,
is not interested in diaspora voting, plain and simple, irrespective of whatever the Constitution says. That is the fundamental truth. If they were,
correct,
we would have been voting all the way back in when change happened, the very change that we orchestrated. Now, let's look at they're hiding behind the Constitution. Let's play the devil's advocate. What they are saying is, in the Constitution, it says 53 constituencies. And the fact that the diaspora is not a constituency, so unless and until you change that clause, the diaspora should not be able to register because it's not a constituency.
That's a fallacy.
Is that how do you How do you defend that though? If they say that, look, it's plain and simple, it says 53 constituencies, and also help us out, because at one time, Combo North was a constituency and it was demarcated. We ended up from 48 to 53. How do you reconcile that? And their position now, basically saying the diaspora is not a constituency, and it is stipulated in the constitution that you have to, unless and until you are in Lower Salum, Upper Badibu, you will not be able to vote. Can you just help us? How are they hiding behind that clause in the constitution?
To qualify your statement, Mr. Jang rather, they are not only disinterested in diaspora voting, they are also very disinterested to consolidate our democracy. We hardly fought for the past 22 years. They are very disinterested to consolidate that democracy. To answer your question, now let's rewind back to history. Even though I was not in the National Assembly last year, but when the IEC demarcates this constituency, they don't even come to the National Assembly because the IEC have that power to do so. They don't even come to the National Assembly. So therefore, if we had passed this diaspora voting, IEC will, within a blink of an eye, demarcate a diaspora constituency. I can tell you that for sure. They don't even need to come to the National Assembly. Because when Combo North, Birkama North, or Busumbala and others were being demarcated, they don't come to the National Assembly. Because the IEC have that vested power by way of subsidiary legislation.
So just lay it up right there. When Birkama North and South and Combo North was being demarcated, IEC took it upon itself, never came to the National Assembly. That's what you were saying.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't. Because the IEC have the power to do so. Go to the IEC Act. It's there. They can do this demarcation by themselves. Because the National Assembly, by way of our primary legislation, have delegated them to do so. So therefore, what is going to happen? What was going to happen if we had restored the diaspora voting was the IEC, within the blink of an eye, open or demarcate diaspora constituency, and then it becomes the law. They are just hiding behind nothing. Don't even say they're hiding behind constitution. They don't have any constitutional limit. They are not just hiding behind nothing. They just use their numbers to bully us. That's it.
So honorable, it comes down to this. Like people would always say, if I quote Dr. Ismail Assise, "Dekebi Baiken Momuko." It belongs to each and every one of us. As National Assembly members, what now? What now? What now? Because when everything is said and done, agitation, because we've done that during the time of Jammeh, diaspora must vote. Past Samba just reminded me, and we're talking about going all the way back. I mean, who was the IEC chairperson then? He passed away. I mean,
Mustafa Carol.
No, way before Mustafa Carol. I'm talking about
Roberts.
Jibril Roberts. Letters were written. We've always, the diaspora, always, even when we are under dictatorship, we've always fought and we always believed that the 1997 Constitution gave us the rights to vote. But it hasn't happened yet. It has been politicized, continued to be politicized. The current government believes, just like the former government, that if we were to vote, somehow it will be a threat to their electoral successes. And people, and even that in itself is questionable. But what now? Yeah, from your end, and also
what is now left to the diaspora, Mr. Jeng and Mr. Maro, is to organize yourselves into a very powerful force and prevail on the National Assembly members. All are not lost. We are still at the consideration stage of the bill. This is about 300 and something clauses. I think we just exhausted 20 clauses or so. During the consideration stage, Mr. J, the National Assembly can still revisit the decisions they made earlier. So now, what the diaspora should do, every Gambian diaspora comes from a constituency in the Gambia. Call your National Assembly member, irrespective of party. The partisan tricks and governance need to go out if you guys should be successful. Tell your members you need that clause back, because we are still at the consideration stage of the bill. We can, after the completion of the last clause, we can revisit all these clauses we made earlier to change them. And the diaspora voting is key. This is still happen. It can still happen in the flow of the National Assembly. That's number one. If National Assembly members did not listen to you people, after the bill is passed, you can go to the Supreme Court and get the answers. And this is what I told National Assembly members. If we make laws here so recklessly and giving citizens chance to go to the Supreme Court for answers, our institution as a lawmaking institution is weakened. And we cannot allow this. Anytime we make laws here, not to the best interest of the citizens, they proceed to the Supreme Court and get answers. What is the role of National Assembly? So that these are the two options to answer your question, Mr. J. Number one, prevail on the National Assembly members. We can still restore or bring the diaspora voting. Or if we don't listen to you people because of some partisan tricks and governance by the parties as usual, when the law is passed, it becomes the law. You now go to the Supreme Court. You can now go to the Supreme Court. And I'm very sure if you go to Supreme Court will not revisit or undo their own rulings. Based on this interpretative section, they will give you people a favorable interpretation. I can assure you that. But now, right now, these are the two options. Talk to us, call us, disturb us, do everything to make sure that we restore it. If we fail to restore it, go to Supreme Court for answers.
Yeah, that sounds because definitely we're looking at solutions, and we believe come 2026 we have to vote. We cannot just take this lying down. So, I mean, we're gonna be sending the link to some of you guys to also come on. I mean, Bena Hel do Hel. We have to brainstorm. We have to lean on these people. But my other question is, in the absence of demarcating the diaspora, some people are making arguments. I am from Lower Salom. My good friend is from, he's from Badibu. Why couldn't
That's correct.
Why can they come here and I can register as Musa Jeng from Lower Salom? Because if all it needs is for me to register under a constituency. Is that, how do you see that?
Mr. Jen, this is 21st century. This is 21st century. I don't know your background, but Sarang, a military background, knows that you can even strike 100,000 kilometers within the blink of an eye. Now, we have given a body to proceed to preside over our election process called the IEC. If we have given the IEC the mandate, the only thing IEC need is the mandate to do so. They can register you people so easily. Which constituency do you want to be registered? And we are registered. Lower Salem, Sharia, which constituency you want to be registered? Is it Combo South, or you want to go to original your body? This is not just rocket science, Mr. Jai. All what we need is to give IEC the mandate, register our diaspora Gambians living as far as Iceland. This is all what we need to tell them. They have staff, they have the human resources, they have everything. I said, this is 21st century. They will register you people. Where do you want to be registered? You'll be registered there. Where Sharia want to be registered, Sharia will be registered there. Where somebody is living as far as Iceland, where do you want to see? It's just the will that is not there. They just fear they are not getting your votes. They fear, as you said in your preamble, you are going to affect their electoral success. That's the only thing. There is nothing inconvenience about registering diaspora wherever they are and where they want to be registered in the Gambia, Mr. K. There's no inconvenience to that. There's no hurdle. How easy we do it if we mandated them to do so.
So
that's correct.
Apart from the Constitution, there is another excuse that they are peddling around, and that is the logistics, they call it. The logistics. I guess if we flesh out logistics, they're saying they live too far away. It's going to cost a lot of money. And also there is this marble voting. How do you respond to that excuse, if you want to call it that? Logistics.
That excuse, Mr. Jeng, is an insult to our collective intelligence. After spending 100 million in a day celebration called the Independence Celebration, after buying cars of millions of dollars. Mr. John, some of these things, I don't even, when they say it, let's ignore it. But let's not be repeating that to each other, because that is like somebody insult you, you are now repeating the insult on yourself. I'm allergic to that.
Yeah, I hear, but we
That
have
is
to
not true.
expose. We have to expose what they are standing on.
They
That
just
needs
do
to be done.
it. If they talk about logistics, Mr. Deng, look at all the wasteful spendings of this government. Wasteful spendings. That is more better than registering our diaspora, who by logistics contribute to over 25 to 30% of GDP, Mr. Jen. Is that not an insult to me and you, our collective intelligence?
It's a betrayal.
Betrayal, exactly. To put it that way, it's a serious betrayal. Lack of principle and memory.
We have a Pop Samba.
Yes, sir. Is that Yaya?
That is correct. I'm here.
Yes. Oh, good to be here. I just had to come in quickly. Thank you very much, and thank you to all of your colleagues who stood by the diasporans. In fact, not the diasporans, who stood by what is right and did it by the Constitution.
Exactly. I like it that way. What is the Constitution and what is right?
It is important for people to have a historical perspective of how this fight was fought or has been fought.
Correct.
25 years ago, Gambians in the diaspora wrote a petition. The petition was drafted by none other than Buhari Gassama. I don't know, Musa, whether you remember this.
I remember. I even tried to. Yes. In fact, I was
on
trying
Gambia
to remember.
And Gambians signed it, asking for enfranchisement. 25 years ago, Halifa Sallah of Doi wrote a letter to the IEC chairman then and copied to everybody, talking about the right of diasporans to vote. Every political party, especially those in the opposition, had called for the diaspora to vote. I had an interview last night with the VOA on this matter. And my argument was that Adama Barrow came to power on the back of the struggle for total electoral reform, including the right of diasporans to vote.
Correct.
When Solo Sendeng went out to fight for electoral reform, that included everything that GOFA, which is Gambia Opposition for Electoral Reform, had, and that included the total enfranchisement of all Gambians. So to me, this is the biggest betrayal that Adama Barrow has shown. Like I said, told the Fatu Network,
Absolutely.
every time you have an agreement with Adama Barrow, and that agreement comes in between him and his desire to self-perpetuate, he would betray you. And that's what he has done. The only thing that is standing between us and voting is the political will and the selfishness of politicians. But enough of my preamble. What I find disappointing, though, Mr. National Assembly Member,
that is, I'm hearing you.
Yes, the continued absence of members of the National Assembly when important matters come before them. And of course, they will tell you that we had a statutory obligation to go and attend some of these international meetings or whatever that they attend. But don't you think that the reason why you were elected by your constituency is to represent them in the National Assembly? Because I believe that if the National Assembly members, all of them were present, maybe the vote could have gone otherwise. But I find it very disappointing that every time an important vote comes in, your colleagues are busy collecting per diems, attending ECOWAS Parliament or IPC or whatever they call it, or the Pan-African Parliament, when the Gambians are looking for their representatives to stand by them and vote on matters that directly affect them. What say you?
Do you want me to comment there? Thank you very much.
Question to your colleagues too. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I appreciate the question.
I'm not going to say any more, Musa. I'm just going to quiet for now because I'll be.
I really appreciate your question, but if you ask me of my frank opinion, to travel on parliamentary issues too, people of this forum is also parliamentary, because some of these travels are capacity building. Some, as you rightly said, are statutory, which are also part and parcel of our National Assembly proceedings, our National Assembly standing orders, our National Assembly service rules, so and so. I don't think, yes, sometimes when matters as this are before the National Assembly, it is very, very important for each National Assembly member to be seated on his or her desk. I agree with you. I'm not disputing that fact. But some of these travels also are equally very official. They are part and parcel of your parliamentary duties, and not taking them, it means that you are also betraying your parliamentary roles and responsibilities to that effect. But to answer your question, yes, it is very, very important for every National Assembly member to sit when such matters are coming before the National Assembly or before the National Assembly. But if you also ask me, the little that we are present, we are about 43 members. It was only, I think, about 11 or 12 that were outside the jurisdiction. So 43 members. If you had acted to the best of our concerns, members of this forum, we should be able to restore the diaspora voting. But I agree with you, when such matters are before the National Assembly, let's sit on our buttocks.
So, Sariang, before you come in, guys, we are going to be putting out the link, and you can come in and comment and ask questions. But let's be honest here now. I mean, you cannot come in here and then start insulting and be very uncivil. That doesn't help our cause. We're talking, I mean, we want to engage these people constructively, and we want to fight back. So some of you guys, I'm going to add you on. But again, let's just show a little bit of restraint and maturity. Go ahead. I mean, I'm Sariang. Mr. Manjang, come back again. Mr. Banja, Khalil. Go ahead, Mr. Maran.
Thank you, Honorable. My question to you is that I know you mentioned something about diaspora needs to call their representatives and put pressure, and there is a possibility to revisit this particular clause. But now,
that is correct.
You guys are the people's representative. In your individual capacities, what could you do? Yes, we could put pressure, but putting that pressure or someone, an individual name at this point in the stage, what could you do to ensure that reignite or revisit that clause?
Yes, we already discussed this among ourselves. Some of us who are in for diaspora voting, we are going to revisit this. We will do it solely. But if we don't prevail on the larger National Assembly body, we are still going to have the same result. That is why I said it aptly. Let people put pressure on their National Assembly members. Some of us who are in for diaspora voting, as I say, we will revisit this. We will bring it back to the proceedings. We'll bring it back for discussion. But our numbers are still going to be dwarfed by the majority. So that is why I'm saying this. We will still do it. And we already discussed this among ourselves. And so one of us will bring it after the whole consideration stage of the election clause for us to restore the diaspora vote we unconstitutionally removed. But my fear is, as I said, our numbers will dwarf. So that is why I am calling for a general pressure from the diaspora on some of the National Assembly members who are not in for diaspora voting, so that by the time one of us is able to bring this clause back, then it can now have a majority support.
Okay. I think my other question is where Coach asked you about, the National Assembly members being absent during crucial votes. How long of a notice do you guys have as National Assembly members before such bills are tabled?
No, we have a month notice, a general schedule in the full disclosure of facts. The general activity or schedule of the National Assembly member every year is sent by the first month of that legislative year. Let me rightly say January. But be mindful, this schedule sent is always subjected to removal in availability of a minister to come and defend his bill, or in inability of the minister traveling outside the jurisdiction. So this has potential effects on our schedules, if you ask me. But to answer your question, the schedule is sent probably a month or 2 months notice. That January is going to be this, February is going to be this, January is February, March, up to the end of the legislative year. But as I said, it is definitely subjected to changes. It's definitely subjected to changes. But to answer your questions, there is always adequate notice before every matter is brought before the National Assembly. Adequate notice.
So my other question I'm going to flip on you is there a possibility? This is a number game, right? I know they have more, but you can swing, right? There's 5, call it what? Non-alliance independent SLAs who are out there, who's looking for a home. Now, looking at those numbers, and that, well, the minister saw change, who's supposed to be here, and I have this travel that I'm going to do. But there is also an important piece of legislation that's going to appear before us. Now, looking at our numbers, our composition, maybe we're going to lose 4 more. They're going to be absent during that. Is there a way that the parties who are in for wants to participate in that debate, or that can say, okay, maybe we need to reschedule because we want maximum participation? Is that a possibility? Is there a procedure to do that? Because these are number games. I'm just trying to think outside the box here.
Yeah, it's possible. I said the schedule. We are not committed to those schedules being recalled. They can keep changing the schedules. Do you understand? They can keep changing the schedule. I don't know whether I understand your question very well, but we can keep changing the schedules. But there is nothing like schedules cannot also be performance, where National Assembly will have to a particular camp will be present, or a particular camp will be absent, then a particular matter to be brought before the National Assembly. It cannot be like that. And also the ministers there, even though they should come to the National Assembly, it is a first constitutional requirement for them to come to the National Assembly. But sometimes also they have duties outside this country that definitely the clerk or the National Assembly Business Committee will definitely excuse them to do so, and we can always reschedule their experience. If this did not answer your question, can you please reframe your questions? Let me understand, please.
No, here's the thing. Musa, hold on a second, because this is important.
No, go
what
ahead.
I'm asking, the bone and the meat of the question is, the allegation. They said the National Assembly is a very lucrative business now. My question to you is, if you're supposed to travel to Belgium for 2 weeks, and there is this important vote as a National Assembly member who cares about the people, can you stand morally and ethically and say, you know what, I'm going to forgo this trip. I want to stay put right here because this legislation is important to me. I'm not, whatever benefit comes with that travel, I'm going to stay put. Is there a way to do that? That's what my question is.
Absolutely. To answer your question, yes. No National Assembly member is forced into the plane. Nobody. You'll be given when they are traveling opportunities and it affects you, they will inform you that you should travel. The choice is yours, Sarian. Whether you want to go or not, you can say, no, I am not going. There is a matter before the National Assembly that I should. Yes, absolutely, yes. Yes, you can. And you don't even, let me even be very clear. You don't even break any rule. You don't even break any law to say I'm not traveling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's correct. That is very correct.
So it seems like I'm listening. Assalamu alaikum.
Mr. Banya,
who is that?
Yes, you can come in, sir.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Mbalbe kontona.
Alaikum salam.
Ngejo.
Yeah, and tell demanding, but I left just to have a consensus on the topic. Namira, we want to know why the diaspora voting was thrown away by our National Assembly members. Is that the topic?
Yes, sir.
That is correct.
That is correct. Okay, thank you so much. Allah baraka bake. Laftal be kontona Uncle Sariang, aning Uncle Musa Jeng, aning Honorable Itemimbe Diamukan, Yaya Sanyang. I don't know the surname, but Yaya Mbalbe kontona.
That
I
is
just
correct.
want to say, yeah, Ntedal Naminje Wolonko, the National Assembly members, Milialonoko ye vote nyinke niajibe primarily. Amen. Telbenanta understand these are MPP National Assembly dress members. Mlealonoko will isitale da monlia decided bita assembly to time womina coming nimbe mifokang so that neko they can be able to do this vote because yalonoko ila mole siata je. But Gambia coming for all the time. When we want to have a change in society, we need to do that collectively. We don't have to do it based on partisan affiliations or based on Kafoko come like neko okay nindol mu minority lati nindol lo majority or nindol le asoto nindol ma asoto menil le include lante nindol include la. Now, diaspora a good chance, Lesotho. When you look at the amount of remittances that can contribute to the government of the Gambia, minkata towards the GDP, wodamaye sembo di molala, I power di molala for us to start something from there. And what is that? That is the campaign and the advocacy for the inclusion and the participation of the diaspora and the representation of diaspora fully and squarely in whatever is going to happen in that little country in the Gambia. So, and the best way we can do that is that it's not only the diaspora that is contributing that, but the diaspora fanana demography, international community is also banking on that and supporting the Republic of the Gambia. Now, some of you people have contributed towards framing and also defending the Gambia in terms of the dictatorship Mialanoko began in the past 22 years. Allow informational and allow messages all doesn't only stop at the online platforms album Kekan, but it goes also beyond whereby in the international community they pick up from that and they put it in their data skalong comimbe in Gambia. So signing that up to this nin tomorrow, we said we have a democracy, and then we see that our own government Miyalanoko, we bring it and we thought that they are going to bring democracy. They are excluding us, in the daylight, whereby there is no justification why Munatina diaspora manana purka vote. So Nantaminkalawalang we reorganize ourselves, and until diaspora family and organize now make sure that we write to the international bodies, they are supporting Gambia, and we wage a war, a campaign war against them to tell them to include us. It's only that way that we can be able to change. Somebody was saying we should take them to court. Yes, that is the first number one step, because a wallet stop nola. Mbesambala court leka make sure that we have to challenge this to the courts, and as well as we mobilize ourselves in the diaspora to ensure that we write to the international community and we ensure that all Gambians will be diaspora. Now make sure that nyo organize la nyaming in all the regions so that we can be able to do that campaign effectively. If we sit down and fold our hands without saying anything or without protesting, so they will think that everything is okay, and then abe trola wolenya under the dustbin, and then nothing will happen, because that is the Gambian style. But say when they saw us that they are like maybe having psychological problem, let us also show them that we are more psychologically having problem than them. So in that way, we will all be at the same level, And then
Correct.
that is when they will do the right thing. But if we all keep quiet, it is
Correct,
just
Mr.
going to happen like that.
Kalilu. Yes,
It has
thank
to
you,
be
thank you
robust.
very much. Thank you very much
Yeah.
for your contribution, Kalilu. I mean, so Honorable, you heard what the man is saying. We cannot take this laying back.
Yes.
There should be a process
That's
of
correct.
fighting back. Now, you heard what he said.
And
I mean,
and for me to reinforce, for me to reinforce what he said, you know, now there is a norm in the National Assembly or among the National Assembly members, the noise is going to be a short while. So I think for me to reinforce what he said, let this be a continuous noise so the National Assembly members can be consciously disappointed that, we always think that when we go against Gambian, the noise is a very short one, but this one is a continuous, persisting one. So you need to, and I agree with him 100%. Because that's what some of us will be saying. The noise is going to be a very short one.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bajang. I have to bring in another person, so I don't want to kind of kick you out. So if you can just drop off and then you can watch us. But again, thank you very much for your contribution, Mr. Bajang. We have Mr. Sise Keba. Welcome to the 40 people by the people.
Thank you so much, Musa. Musa, how are you guys doing?
You are angry.
Of course. I mean, Musa, come on, Musa. Of course, Gambia is our country, and all these years, what we have been doing is working hard, going back home, and then just to making sure that Gambia is on the right track, on the right direction. I mean, come on, who wouldn't be angry?
Okay. Yes, we are all angry. So, I mean, now again, some people are saying, well, solution based, something has to give. You heard what Kalilu said. We need to kind of talk to the international community. We cannot take this lying down. The people are talking about mass mobilization. In other words, we have to make sure come 2026, the diaspora should be able to vote. Quoting Dr. Sise, Dekebi Bayi Ken Momoko. What say you, Keba?
Okay, Musa, this is my take, right? I'm gonna speak in Wolof or Mandinka.
Oh yeah, pretty much. Feel free.
Right? Yes, I'm gonna speak in Wolof or Mandinka.
Go ahead.
Correct. This is it, right? Musa, I don't think this government, they're even smart enough, because Lee Munana Neka Barrow's legacy easily, and this is good for him and his government. Being the first president, being the first president, you brought this to the diaspora, right? Your diaspora with the right for new vote. Your diaspora with the right? For new vote. Lolurek alone. The fact you can support. The fact tapping on the people even love him more. So I don't understand. Barrow, you advice to go, I mean, to do otherwise. They've got more problems, more headaches, more issues. I mean, and then more people against him. So, man,
that's correct.
Right. The other thing, listen, sooner or later, Barrow will go. So, them 2026, then I am 2031 for sure. Right. But then again, yep, then come with them 2026. Right. But only what on a day more, like the honorable gentleman said, IEC, they can demarcate this thing without even National Assembly.
Correct.
Right. So IEC, we want on that day, but instruct them to demarcate it. And then, the diaspora, like I always say, we can even experiment 5 places, 6 places for a start. Right? Okay, London, we can have China, we can have New York, we can have Washington, we can have Belgium, and we can have maybe Malaysia or somewhere else. Right. And now, people will travel and vote. We have embassies. We have embassies, all these places. Now, registrations can happen at these embassies.
Correct.
It can happen.
Correct.
Number 1. Number 2, this is when it has already been demarcated. So these embassies we can do our registrations there. Fine. Now, people can equally vote. See embassies in it. Right? But the only problem is they are not popular. Within the diaspora, elections. And this is not right.
Right.
So
right. Thank you.
But before, I just want to rectify something there, Mister. I don't. Where you said the borough instruct the IEC to demarcate. We don't want the executive to be instructing the independent electoral body. When it is the law, that's the law. They will act on the basis of that law, not even instruction from the president. We want to describe that the president.
This is exactly what's been going on, because when you look at it,
yeah,
right, Barrow has been instructing his justice minister to do whatever he wants.
That's correct. Right? Yeah, that's under him. That's his business.
Right? Even though it's not acceptable, but this is exactly what's been happening.
Exactly, I agree.
Yeah, exactly. So, matter of fact, that's why I said that. I mean, for his own, legacy. These are the main reasons why I said
exactly.
that.
You mentioned it well. Legacy is the most important thing here. Legacy. Yeah. You look back after your time in office. You look back and see your legacy. You are always a very proud individual.
Yes, and the other thing also, I want to believe if the diaspora is demarcated into maybe 6 or 8 or 7 or whatever it is, all these places will have a National Assembly representative. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, that can be other country. I think they have a diaspora National Assembly member. Yeah, I don't know that actually.
Yeah, but if it's demarcated to be a consequence, then obviously, I mean, that means we're gonna have a National Assembly representative.
So Keba,
that is correct.
Let's make this clear. As far as the demarcation is concerned, the diaspora, we were not just sitting down and allowing this thing to evolve. There were people behind the scenes doing the legwork. There is this person called Professor Fall, MSDG. These people, they went out there. They've demarcated the entire diaspora, whether it's West Africa, the Americas, Europe. They presented this. The Minister of Justice was there. They had meetings. They presented this to the IEC. So the legwork has already been done. These are the constituencies. I think it's about 7. So, and this was based on, these people did not just say, oh, Atlanta is going to be a constituency. Nothing like that. They looked at where Gambians, the concentration of Gambians, using data. And that's how they were able to demarcate the diaspora. So, Ligay Biki Bopam, Defnen Kobe Pare. It was presented to the IEC. All IECs to do is just go ahead and say, voila, we are adding additional 7 constituencies, and it will be a done deal. The fundamental question is this. These people are not committed for the diaspora to vote. They have this illusion in their head. If the diaspora votes, we will be voted out of office.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Period.
So, I mean, and to add to what you were saying, it is sad, and I don't know who is advising Mr. Boro. Extremely sad. He's allowing himself. Because Noko Jarale, actually, he is the one that one could say he's betraying the process. He is the one, 2016, all the political parties came together and said, yo, yai neka swing candidate. We don't want this to be a party thing. We want to bring about change. That's why he ran under an independent ticket. All right? So these are things, this is his legacy. So the fact that it hasn't happened, and the fact that the entire NPP, we're not talking about key vote nani, key vote nanele. No, all of them came together, and the 5 people that were chosen as nominated members, they voted against the bill. So Niro Ngarobi, people are not stupid. They see exactly. Now, Mr. Menteng, this is what I want you to help me out.
Yes.
Musa. Correction. So there are 5 nominated members, 3 voted against. So, Maimuna was not in town. Fabakri cannot vote. So CD, Keba, Lamfofan, and Fatumata Jawara voted. Okay?
Thank you very much.
That is correct.
But you know where I'm going with this.
I know. But let's just make sure we're clear.
Absolutely. And thank you for your intervention. And they voted they decided to vote against it. So this was planned. So, Mr. Menteng, as far as the opposition is concerned, I want to push back. You guys have been electorally, outfoxed. Did you guys meet? Did you guys have the strategy? People are saying, don't listen to these folks. They're not committed to diaspora voting either. They're just basically capitalizing, what I would call political scoring. You guys, your commitment is questionable. What say you to that?
Yeah, we are very committed to diaspora voting. As I said, we met before the actual day, and also even the voting day before that clause. Before we reach that clause, I can look at our minority pay. They're like, "Can you guys come in? Can we come in? It's soon time to vote for the election bill, diaspora voting." So if we are not committed to it, we are not even going to encourage each other to do more. But I can tell you, since the morning, we saw Sirinjai and other suspicious movement. We are also suspicious they will go against the diaspora voting, even though we did not engage them at that point in time. But that suspicious movement, if there is anything controversial, you saw the majority camp suspicious movement in the morning, and they are about to do something bad. They are about to do something that is unconstitutional. So to answer your question, Mr. J, we are very committed to diaspora voting. Our act, to do so is not a performance. It's a real act. It's a real act from the bottom of our heart, because we are committed to the ideal being recalled.
Yeah. Okay, so, Musa, let me say this thing. Let me just say this thing before I get out of here.
Okay, right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Musa, Barolung wara def moy. Right. To have a good legacy. And he's not, and they're not smart, because Lee can even give him lots of votes and popularity. Right. So Baron being inclusive. Now you know what? These are my brothers, these are my sisters, these are my children. Right. I'm the president. Even though music diaspora. Right. But these people, even their contribution alone. Matter of fact, sir, these are Gambians. It's their democratic rights. Punisani Carter. Now, IEC can demarcate this easily. Right. Under my watch, under my leadership, I want to make sure Limu happen Nijolenko. Now, Barrow can speak to his people, because obviously, like you just mentioned now, NPP, vote out, right? The same NPP people can vote, they can vote it and support it. They can vote and support it. So now, Barrow making sure a very dual citizenship, number one. I agree. Maybe a president, munga nyaka neka dual citizen. But we gain all these stupid laws now. Since you're a dual citizen, you cannot hold any executive position. You cannot hold a national assembly, seat, a position. Mugene that dual citizenship, right? Mudamaked, diaspora. Mujo people the rights to vote. Mujo people the rights to vote. Nasupara de Feli, I guarantee you, Nelania, his popularity the far yoku. His popularity the far yoku. Right, and that will bring him more votes.
All right.
Because look what me against the diaspora, the first son of Bobam. That will bring more hatred against himself.
Thank you, Keba. Guys, we have Tukulor, we have Bakari Ba, but we have another honorable who is on the platform, and we want to hear from him as well. Honorable Mbalo, he just asked me to send him the link, which I did. Good afternoon, sir.
I'm trying to leave.
Honorable Mbalo, can you hear me?
Hearing you.
Mr. Mbalo.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm hearing you. Are you getting me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Thank you very much. Like you said, my name's Honorable Jibi Mbalo, and National Assembly member for Lower Flood West, and I voted against the diaspora voting. And I think my contribution, I'm very happy, because most of us come to the National Assembly not as legal minded. And before we take any decision, we do what they call expert opinion. And some of the diaspora could understand that myself wanted to move a private member bill that is aiming to give the diaspora all the rights to be voted and to be voted for. But as we were going, in consultation with legal luminaries, we were caught on a spot. So if the matter come again, what I want to put to the people, you see, the decision of a National Assembly is a decision of everybody. And if you are supporting the diaspora voting and you really sincere and committed, it was not a crime to engage your other colleagues to make them understand the knowledge gap you have over them regarding the decision that we are to take. But if we want to be scoring political point, trying to say, at the end of the day, I want to be a member that can convince my other colleague so that they would understand the merits of what they are doing. But like I really accept that we are a group of members that use it as a political scoring point. And that is not the issue. Currently, I'm in New York. I'm living with the diaspora. These are my family. How will they see me today? So it is, I think it's very important we all go back to the drawing board and discuss and enlighten other people. Because when we get the expert opinion, which was the time that some of us were caught, the expert told us that if you look at the law, Section 39(1) clearly indicates certain things. And if you go down to Section 88, so we as a lay persons and the experts have given you opinion, and the time for you to consume is very short and you have to make decision. You can make a decision that is good, you can make a decision that is bad. But from the noise we are hearing, it has also given us the opportunity to go and understand very well. We can go back to the National Assembly and resent our decision that we made. But conditions that the people who understand issues are really giving us the merit, the fundamental. But we all know what we want to achieve. The mischief of that clause is to ensure that the diaspora vote in a demarcated constituencies and the diaspora to be voted for and to be represented for. But today, if people want to make political point over that, and you know that parliament is all about number, are we doing right? You are saying MPP this. Engage the MPP NAMs. There is no crime to do lobbying.
So Mr. Mbalo,
Yes.
this is what people are asking.
Yes.
You said you guys basically voted based on expert advice.
Opinion. Yes.
Okay, opinion. People are saying, who are those experts? In knowing what you know now, if you were to go back and vote, which way are you going to vote? Are you telling me that now you are much more informed? And also,
yes, I'm getting much more informed. Just not to cut you, so no, what expert we get? We were called at Messi Hotel. The diaspora was well represented, and we extensively discussed about Section 39(1). And when we left that place, we did not go home with an informed decision on it. And from there were no much engagement until this bill was brought to the National Assembly. And the funny thing is, let nobody fool the diaspora. It's the whole National Assembly that was not committed to do the right thing. Let nobody play game onto the diaspora. If you understand, you should convince your colleague. But you don't do it and say, the National Assembly this, the National... That will not make a headway. We need to help each other and carry one another. You need to convince, but you want to, in fact, it comes
Mr. J, let me help my colleague here.
No. Yeah. Hold on. Yeah, hold on. Mr. Yang is the moderator. You're gonna have your opportunity. He's gonna ask you a question. We are the question. You don't. It's not a debate. Okay, it's not.
When everything is said and done,
can I come?
Please.
We all want to be on the same page. I'm sorry. Let me just learn. In fact, during the voting, people were threatening. If you vote, somebody like me, a sound mind that I believe, when I am consented, I want to face the repercussion, being it good or bad. But I am somebody that can accept the truth, walk by the truth. So if you are telling us that we are going to publish your name, you are trying to play a mind game on the diaspora. All of us have all the diaspora an obligation. But we want this obligation to be in such a way that is very clear. I don't want to have a political point, and nobody can threaten me or nobody can tell me, but my consent sound mind. If you give me the information like what we are hearing, who will vote against it? Who? But we are playing games on that. The party this love this, the party don't love that. The Gambia, our problem is people have to understand that people want to be scoring political point at every time. There is time for politics and there is time for nation building. This was a nation building and everybody wants to score politics or a point onto that. So this is my take, and I'm learning from the people and I'm really listening to the program. I got to understand issues here. Most of my colleagues did not got this opportunity because we were told that before, like the expert opinion, before you can do this thing, first you need to do a constitutional amendment. So, and once you don't do the constitutional amendment, so it could be wrong, but some of us are layperson in law. But these were the issues that we are coming. So I think what, as a nation, if I have to conclude, as a nation, what we need to do is let's engage one another, have concentration, and make sure that you help put issues like my diaspora, the Lower Flood West diaspora. I'm sorry to mention, Almami Gassama, they put me on the spot. Tell us the reason why you vote against this. We just want to know the reason.
Okay. Mr. Mbalo, we're gonna allow Yaya to come on, and I want to tell people this: we're not dropping anyone. Seriously, just because people are saying something different from what you believe in, that is not democracy. All right? Yaya, you've heard what Mr. Mbalo is saying. Their vote was based on expert opinion. Were you there when the experts were making these points? The advice that he's talking about?
That is why you could have insisted on, you asked my colleague a question, but you could not hold on to the question, and he deflated quickly. Now let's ask my honorable member, which experts and which forum do they got this expert opinion call? There's not vote against the there's not vote for the diaspora voting until they amend the constitution. Where is that forum, honorable? Let me direct it to the moderator. Let's ask our honorable member. With all due respect.
Yes, Mr. Mbalo.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, which forum and which expert?
Thank you very much. If I can get, we were on a workshop at Mercy Hotel. The diaspora was evenly represented there with the immigration people, IEC. I don't know where Yaya Menten Sanya was there.
When was this?
I cannot remember exactly the day and time, but for those that were here, that is listening, it was at Bagadaji Mercy Hotel. And we discussed extensively well on the election bill. And in that election bill, there were experts. We asked about, I remember, there is a honorable member who asked about section 39.1, the interpretation of it. And if it is to work, what can we do? And those people, that legal people that were there, and it was sponsored by Diaspora, those people could also put us and look at those lawyers that they brought on that day that were telling us the issue of section 39.1.
Can I help my honorable colleague here? My honorable colleague, this was not a workshop at Mercy. This happened at this place, at conference center. Do you understand? But that day, most of the honorable members who attended that interface with the diaspora at the OIC conference center all agree that we are going to restore diaspora voting. This is what happened. And the other thing is, my honorable colleague, you see, National Assembly member, when we meet to integrate our brain cells and ideas on a law, what we say is the law becomes the law. That is it. Experts counts a lot, I agree. I'm not downplay any expert opinion in our proceedings. And I will never downplay expert opinion in our proceedings.
Please go on mute.
That is why,
go on mute.
Guys, hold on.
That is why we are National Assembly member.
Next, hold on.
Mandated by our various competitors who attended that instance and ideas on a law.
Guys, you have to mute when you're not talking, really. Please.
You understand? We cannot allow external influence on how we think about law or what is passing in the mind of Parliament at the time of making a particular law. Expert influence. We cannot allow expert influence into this. So to answer your question, honorable member, this happened at the OIC. It was the diaspora interface with the National Assembly member. That day, I can tell you, if the diaspora voting was placed that day, it was going to get a favorable answer from that, because many people, most of us, went away with this idea, yes, diaspora should vote. So the issue of, because even in that, during that interface, already the Supreme Court ruled, Section 39. The Supreme Court has already ruled, so no lawyer in those days will tell you another interpretation beyond what our Supreme Court quorum reasons. It's not possible. Until the lawyer is not reading his or her books. But no single lawyer, with the infinite abundance, wisdom of the Supreme Court quorum, make and reason the law. That's the law. No lawyer will further say, I think it should be like this. That's the law. Because when that particular lawyer go to the court, he's going to argue based on that law. What the Supreme Court says is the law. So the National Assembly, as I said, we have acted in excess of our legislative authority. We have. And it's good that people like Honorable Mbalo is now beginning to realize that. So let's go back and restore diaspora voting, please.
So, Mr. Mbalo, I mean, I hear you loud and clear.
Musa.
Yeah, just like a quick question, Rick.
Okay, all right, because I wanted to ask him a question too.
This is the problem that some of us have. It looks like the entire NPP, they voted the same way. I mean, it's one thing if you have 2-3 people, different folks voting different ways, and then because people were informed and some are not informed, but people are saying you guys were strong-armed by Sidinjai, and that is why you guys voted the way you voted. And it has nothing to do with expert opinion. What do you say to that, Honorable Mbalo?
I disagree totally because Sidinjai don't know when I was elected. And then all honorable members understand that I am a liberal person and I do things on my own. Sidinjai have no influence on me, neither any other person. My influence, I said, I listened to an expert opinion. He told me Section 39(1). If we want to do Section 39(1), there should be a constitutional amendment. This was what stuck into my head. Now the debate is going. It is being open. I want anybody to challenge those experts' opinion. And I just don't want to encourage debate with my brother. The one I am talking was at Messi. Extensively, we discussed about Section 39(1) and Section 88. And for best interest of Gambians, I think howsoever we differ in opinion, let's help one another. Let's educate one another. Let us be open. Let us not use this as I hate the diaspora or whatsoever. Because I'm speaking, I'm inside a house of a diaspora. How do he see me? But I explain. So I think this kind of engagement would have come earlier before now. Because this bill was put before us and we scrutinize and make certain things so that it gives us informed decision. And some of the decisions, if I said experts' opinion, even on the sitting that we sometimes listen to the minister's opinion, let's go back to the tapes. So I think here is now, let's enlighten each other, go beyond the boundary to make people understand. But for me, particularly, and I'll say it honorable, if you threaten me, if you vote out that I'm going to take you to the media, I'm taking it, that's normal as a politician. But we want to get the thing in our head. Give us the evidence. Give us the substantial information that we need to act on. We are genuine. So I am telling you, once this engagement go, in parliament, this not pass any longer, we can go back, somebody can bring up a motion and say, I want to rescind my decision. But for someone to do that, he should be given, if I say expert opinion, and I'm challenging all of you, please, go back to Section 39, and then what we were told, the mischief of that 14th clause was to address a constitutional provision in the draft 2020, in line with the draft 2020. So let the legal illuminati come and help the members of parliament so that they can make a decision that is very progressive. I want history to judge me on doing what is right. And if I do this thing, I tell you expert opinion. If that opinion was wrong, then I was misguided on that opinion. And I repeat the opinion that was given to me. Section 39(1) and Section 88. These were the areas that we were concentrating on. So I think this is my issue, but I just want to put this. Let no single party or no single individual, if we fail the nation, is the 6th legislative. It's not saying MPP, alliance whatsoever. No, we cannot score political points on the expense of our people, our citizens, our brothers and sisters in the diaspora. Let nobody fool anybody. It is, if I have a duty, when I was fighting against the FGM, you know, Musa, I go to, even my honorable here, I go to him to give him substantial evidence that he should join and support me. And I expect that he is a barrister, he understands law. He should be meeting people and tell them. Because if I get information, somebody give me information, as a colleague, you give me substantial information with evidence who they are not to join you on the cost. But that's what's not happening. People we are trying to score political points in the expense of the name of the diaspora.
Okay. Musa, I have a question for Mr. Mbalo, please.
Thank you.
Honorable Mbalo, Honorable Mbalo, thank you very much for coming in here on the FUP show. And Mr. Mbalo, I wanted to ask you a straight question because you keep saying, you know, you got an aspiratic advice. What is your basic understanding of Section 39(1)? In the most layman terms, what's your understanding of that as a National Assembly member?
Thank you very much. My understanding that Section 39(1) is a clause that we need a constitutional amendment to make sure that that leverage is open. Because if we try to say registered diaspora, they should be given the conducive environment to be demarcated into constituencies, and they have to vote in those demarcated constituencies. Because I believe I was made to understand that there is no law that is denying the diaspora from voting. What is happening conveniently for the diaspora to get the opportunity to vote in a demarcated area. Hence, the law dictates that you can only be registered in a constituency. So, and now these people are not registered on the constituency. We should open it, have a constitutional amendment to make sure that that one is removed. That is my basic understanding. So, to me, if this one is not done, then even if we put that clauses in place, we are not getting it right because ourselves, we are going a contradiction to the Constitution as a lawmaker. So this is my understanding.
Okay. Thank you very much, Honorable Mbalo. Honorable Mbalo, what is your understanding about the Supreme Court ruling for that particular same clause that you are referring to?
Thank you very much. As a layman, what I understand, the Supreme Court stands on the ground on the Constitution, meaning that every Gambian is eligible to vote and to be voted for if you are with a sound mind. So meaning you are in diaspora or not, once you are a Gambian, you have the right to get registered and vote.
Okay. So what is your I think what I'm trying to understand is, so what you're saying, there was a clause of the 39, how you understand it, but the Supreme Court, what was the reason? What was the precedent? Why did the Supreme Court rule that way?
Yes, the Supreme Court ruled because of, this is a layman talking, my brother.
No problem. We are all learning.
Yes, Supreme Court made a judgment on Srif Diba and Co. And then the lawyers were very sensitive to say that who denied diaspora from voting? Because the law is clear that they vote. But how do the diaspora vote? This is the mischief that Clause 14 could have addressed when it was supported by the constitutional provision. So it's not about denying diaspora from voting, but we want diaspora to vote conveniently at their democratic constituencies. Because in 2021, I have a lot of diaspora that leave Europe and went to Gambia and vote. But now the mischief we want to attend is that you don't even need to buy your ticket. Be anywhere and vote. And we don't only, me, not only, but I allow to look at, okay, I look at a lot of issues. I look at
let him explain. It's okay. It's all right. At the end of the day, we want a conversion of thoughts, right? We want to flush this ambiguity, right? He's saying points, and I want to be able to redirect the question whereby we can be on the same page at the end of this conversation, right? So Mr. Honorable Mbalo, it's actually BB Dabo, not Srif Diba. You reference that just for your reference. But what I'm trying to understand is, I think you are on a good path all the way that diaspora doesn't have to physically come to Gambia. But now, I guess my understanding is, did you know that prior to voting against the bill, or afterwards you talked to people and people kind of enlightened you?
after that, because after that, I mean people from the idea that I have, from what is in my brain or what I am able to hold, I thought I'm on writing. I've seen information coming that is trying to debunk those strongholds then I said, come on, wait a minute. What was happening? Then I start also going further to say, you know what? What's happening when this is happening? I myself, I'm getting more and more convinced now because what I hold on, somebody have proved that that is not whole water.
Correct.
You understand?
Okay.
So
Correct.
I'm trying to begin to understand, and a lot of people I believe who are following are beginning to understand. But I used to say, I'm sorry for this is parliament. I said to Honorable Suleiman Sai, you see, don't mind about listing our name for voting. Even tomorrow, if you bring it on this concept, we are going to vote it out. What you need to do is give me the information that you have, listen to
So that
me,
you can
and
change your vote.
debunk me what I have. But if you want somebody to say this particular group, we passed that stage. Where we are now, we need to talk to each other for us to understand very well. Because you people realize that there is a knowledge gap, even with the way I'm telling you. And you also believe that there was something that I'm holding on very strong. And some of you can say, oh, Honorable Malo, what do you hold on strong? This is where you get it wrong. And I will listen as a human being and learn.
Yeah.
But once anybody want to, once politics is involved into the, you think you are going to score political
Yeah.
points?
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you,
No.
Mr. Thank you, Honorable Mbalo. Go ahead, Musa. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
want to bring
Yes,
Kex
let
up
me
to
come
maybe.
here.
Okay. Yeah. So Kex, we're gonna
Yeah,
come back to you,
let,
but let's just allow
okay,
Yaya to respond real quick.
okay,
Go
thank you
ahead.
very much, Honorable Mbalo. You keep saying political score. You guys score political own goal. We don't need to score you again. You already score own goal. So I don't think I want to score you again. That's number one. Number two, where the you see, when we look at law, for the diaspora to vote is a matter of law,
Okay.
and that has
It's
been
Musa
settled
coming.
by the Supreme Court. So how do they vote? Listen to me very well. For the diaspora to vote is a matter of law settled by the Supreme Court. How do they vote now become a regulation by the IEC? That is why, based on our primary legislative function, we give IEC that mandate to bring in their own rules and regulation how to conduct election. So how do they register diaspora? How do diaspora vote? Is now an exclusive jurisdiction of the IEC to do so. That's not the business of the National Assembly members by looking at any constitutional provision, my honorable colleague Mbalo. Please. So going forward, and you said we were not talking to each other. Do you remember the time when I voted? I left my seat, wanted to go and talk to some members of the No Alliance. You are one of those who blocked me. You say, no, he's not come here. You remember that? Until Almami and others were telling people I didn't vote. I voted. So when I voted, before they go back to you people, I left my seat because I wanted to go and talk to no Alliance members. Mbalo was one of those people who blocked me. No, you will not come here. You will not come here. Then that was the time I went back to my seat. You remember that? So, but it's good that you now understand the issues, my honorable colleague. I know you have a liberal mind and nobody play with your mind. And going forward, I'm sure I will give it a favorable position, inshallah.
Honorable Menteng, Sanyang, and Honorable Mbalo needs to be talking more, and that's
I
good.
believe
All
so.
right.
I believe so, Sanyang.
At least we got
He's
something
my guy.
moving
He's
here.
my guy.
Okay, well, you guys need to be buddies because I'm gonna call you. I'm not Flood West, but I'll call you. I'll take you on your word, Mr. Mbalo. So thank you. Go ahead, Musa.
Kex, you can come in. Sorry for waiting this long, but you know how it is. Interesting conversation. Kex, are you there? Kex, Pasamba. God, what's going on? Pasamba, can you hear me?
No, it's Sajo.
Well,
Sajo is the guest. Sajo.
no, it's okay. It's okay. I don't know whether actually you guys are getting me loud and clear.
No, we can hear you now. Kex, we can hear you.
Yeah, Musa, are you guys getting me?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not getting you guys, so I don't know whether you are getting me, but I'll just continue speaking
on two issues that I wanted to contribute in regards to the whole conversation that actually decision has been made in regards to the fate of the diaspora, the Gambians or diaspora, the Gambians that are living outside the Gambia, for them to exercise a law that has been guaranteed by the Constitution, and this is a bad right. And bad rights are rights that even the courts cannot deprive you from those rights. Those are the rights that we call bad right. But it's so unfortunate that we have a National Assembly that actually leave everything in the hands of the executive, forgetting that they are the lawmakers, and the executive are only there to come with an intention that is called a bill before the National Assembly member. So, but the decision of making that an instrument or a document that would be enforced solely rely on the National Assembly members. But when I listen to the conversation all around the National Assembly members, yeah, the minister has deceived us, we didn't understand the provisions, and it is your sole responsibility for a National Assembly member. That's why you are called a lawmaker. So you should have a clear clue of the law. That's why the documents, a bill is given to you prior to, before it's finally tabled before the National Assembly. And you need to go back to your constituency. Tell them this is the document before the National Assembly, and these are the details of it. You must have at least somebody who is a subject matter specialist in that area, will add his input into that document. This is why consultation is important. As much as you are a National Assembly member, you must consult with your people that elected you into office. And you will have that idea of the whole interpretation of what you are dealing with. But you will find in National Assembly members that they will even serve them a bill. It will be inside their lockers for almost when it was the day for the session, that will be the day they will go and open it and just start to review that document. So how will you even understand what is before you? And this is unfortunate, and this is what have been seen, that our National Assembly members didn't understand that they are the lawmakers. What we do in the Gambia, and this is what has been happening on various issues, is that executive will draft there whatever they want to draft and bring it to the National Assembly, and it just passed like that. What they will do, they will read the clause, and you either said yes or no, and it becomes a law. No, this is a draft. That's why they are called, they are bills, they are intention of the government. But you are the National Assembly members, are the very people who will make this into a law. That's why you are lawmakers. So you cannot sit down and leave everything in the hands of the executive. And when it fails, you blame that, oh, the executive has this is us, Barrow has failed us, he don't want this one. It's not Barrow's responsibility. Barrow is there, has somebody who has an intention. This is why even the draft constitution, when I see people calling it President Barrow's draft, and I see them Jallow's draft, I feel like then we don't have a National Assembly. But this is a document that's an intention, and the National Assembly has the right to delete, to adjust, to put anything in that document to make it a better document that will fit for the voice of the Gambian people. That's your role as a National Assembly member. So you cannot delegate your responsibility to a minister and sit down and become a complainer in your own country. Unless we move away from that, we know that the National Assembly members must know that they are lawmakers, and the executive are only there as people who will come with their intention before the National Assembly. That's why you have three organs of government. You have the legislature, you have the judiciary, and you have the other parts of it. This one's enforce, this one interpret, and this one also make the laws. These are the three organs of government. But for far too long, our National Assembly members don't know their responsibility, and they delegate their responsibility to the minister, and they become a watchdog, and they just sit down and listen until it is yes or no. They start raising their hands. Yes, I'm in, or no, I am not. That document could have been amended because there's a declaration before the Supreme Court, and people tend to don't understand that the Supreme Court can only make a declaration. They cannot tell you that the diaspora must vote. What the Supreme Court can do is to declare that this is a right for the people of Gambians, irrespective of wherever you have the right to vote. And that's what the Supreme Court has made. Because why? It requires the expenditure of the government. And the Supreme Court cannot be a player and at the same time be a referee. So they cannot tell them by force you must put it, because they don't know what is the budget of the government. So they can only this. That's why they are telling any bill that requires the expenditure of the government, you need to consult, because at the end of the day, it can even be passed into law and government will say that we don't have the money. But the National Assembly members are the ones who decide on our budget. When they didn't see that the diaspora voting was chartered in the IAC bill, the IAC, what we call budget, have they ever raised that in the parliament? They have the knife and the bread to cut and make sure that they allocate every funds for the state in the running of the state. And then this bill was before the National Assembly, even before the 2025 budget came to the National Assembly. I was part of when political parties were invited at the National Assembly to put their inputs there. This bill was before the National Assembly. 2025 budget came. National Assembly may scrutinize the budget. They know that it was not chartered in the IEC budget for the voting of the diaspora. Nobody dares to make sure that that is there, so that when this bill comes, they'll say, now the money is here, and we make sure that we put this law there. The diaspora must exercise their constitutional right. So, but now they all become, complaining, blaming each other when it's their responsibility to do that. And unless we move away from those things to be, just complain when decisions are made. And this is not the first time decisions have been made in the National Assembly on which are responsibility of the National Assembly. They will say that, okay, the judges and we all come to the social media and start to blame the executive. The executive role is only to come and bring their intention before the National Assembly. But it is the role of the National Assembly to say that your intention is wrong and this is the better way we will make it. And this is the law. That's the role of a National Assembly. And if you fail in that, you are not fit to be a National Assembly member. And unless we move away from that, we'll keep on complaining in our country. And this is the situation that we have.
We want to hear from the reaction from the two National Assembly members. Mbalo, I think he's still on, and also...
Can I just say something and get off quick?
Yeah, go ahead. Mangladon also earlier.
Yeah, so what I wanted to say here is I have heard Mr. Mbalo, and I like the maturity in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But let's understand, let's give this document a historical context. This bill did not come about just in 2025. This process started in around 2018 when Batambedu was the Attorney General. And there was a wide consultation with political parties, with civil society organizations, and all that, so that we'll come to what was brought to the National Assembly.
Mm-hmm.
Because they did not just write like they did the draft. This is different. This came out of a consultative thing. I think it was financed by the UNDP and all that. So they had meetings with people. There was the inter-party, all parties were involved. 2018. In fact, if the National Assembly had not put their foot down, if you remember when they said that they're not going to, that's the last batch of the National Assembly, that because the Attorney General was missing session, that they're not going to table his bills. This bill would have been before them at that period. So the notion that we did not know what was going on, let's also understand. Professor Jibril Fall, MSDG, has been working on this. In fact, everything that was needed, whether the logistics, the legal aspect of it, and everything was provided for. There was a hearing at the National Assembly during the last session of the last National Assembly. I participated in that hearing, where even some of us in the diaspora joined them virtually. It was chaired, the meeting was chaired by the then speaker on this same matter, the diaspora vote. So the notion that the government and their supporters did not have the legal understanding of what was going on, I think is misleading.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I also believe that even looking at the lukewarm attitude of the Attorney General in this whole matter, so exactly what their intentions were. It's not different from how he handled the 2020 draft. Because when the question came about Section 39, he said that then say, well, there's Section 88. He went back and was told, but the Section 88, when it was amended, they said at least 53 constituencies. So meaning there is nothing that would bar them to say, you know what, let's vote this thing, and then the IEC should be able to demarcate. And let's go back to something. I want us to just put this in its proper perspective. In 2020, when they said they were going to do the registration of voters, the initial one had the diaspora in it, didn't it? If you look at the act that they are trying to amend right now, I think clause 141 or 114 has a provision for the diaspora to be registered to vote. So there is nothing illegal, unconstitutional about the diaspora and their participation in electioneering in the Gambia as voters or whatever. And the case that he is talking about, I was one of those, the plaintiffs. And what the Supreme Court said was absolutely very, very clear. There were no ambiguities about it.
That's correct.
Musa,
Plain
we
and
have
white.
had meetings and meetings over meetings. There are people, the Jobates of this world, and all these people who have participated in these meetings with members of the government, the gay souls, the salutals, and all these people interpreting the same clause, section 39, and we eventually come to a consensus that it cannot be an impediment to the registration of diasporas. And let's come back to why people in social media, we are not legislators. What we can react to is when you are the president of the republic and your party voted, everybody who was associated with you voted in unison against something. I think people are within their rights to accuse you of engineering that whole process. But I hope that the National Assembly will come back and look at this matter. Because at the end of the day, to remind all these National Assembly members, the majority of them live in the provinces. During the colonial period, the Gambia was divided into two regions. The colonies, which is Banjul, and the surrounding areas, and the protectorate. The protectorate were refused a right to vote, even though they were the most productive citizens of the time, as they continue to be as farmers. And this gave led to the creation of the PPS, the People's Protectorate Society. We later turned into the People's Progressive Party. And the whole objective was, we are not going to allow anybody to abrogate our rights as members of this country. The right that is given to the people in Banjul should be accorded to the people in Basse, to the people in Fuladu, and all these other areas.
Hello.
So what I want the National Assembly members to understand is that if the people had the same attitude that they have now, they would not have been a Mbalo as National Assembly member, or even Adama Barrow as President of the Republic of the Gambia. Don't deny us a right that everybody fought to see was unjust, just out of convenience. So we are citizens of that country, and nobody should relegate our rights to whether it is budgetary. It's just utter nonsense whether we have the money, whether we have the logistics. There is a reason why we elect you. There is a reason why you've continue to increase your budget. We gave you $52 billion to run that country. Make it work. Yeah. But anyway, I'm off again.
Thank you, Pastor. Guys, very quickly though, there is an expert, someone who dives into these legal issues. And Bakari Ba, I'm really sorry, but we're gonna come back to you. But we want to hear from this gentleman first. So, guys, just hold on. Guest, tell us what's the legal quandary out there.
Thank you, Musa. Coach, I'll need you to stay put a little bit because maybe you have more facts regarding the lawsuit you guys filed with the Supreme Court. I know it's been a while, but my understanding is when I reviewed that judgment from Supreme Court, the plaintiffs, Coach, and then the rest, their contention was diaspora has a right to vote, and then they want Supreme Court to make that interpretation, and the court rightfully did. So regarding that, there is no ambiguity, as Coach indicated. Diaspora has a right to vote, and then that has been declared. That's one. Two, my understanding is the folks at National Assembly that voted against these provisions are indicating that Section 39 is the impediment to voting. But I reviewed the Section 39, unless it's changed or there is some other section that I'm unaware of, or because since our constitution has been amended so many times, no one ever know what's the one in existence. But Section 39, as indicated right now, the only thing it indicated is every Gambian being of majority, meaning you are at the age of 18, and then of sound mind, you have the right to vote and then be voted for in a presidential election. And then there is a conjunction and which indicated that you shall be entitled to be registered as a voter in National Assembly constituency for that purpose. So it doesn't define that there must be a constituency created for diaspora or otherwise. All it is saying is it's a mandatory provision. You have to be registered in a constituency within the 48 National Assembly constituencies that has been created. So if you looked at 88, Section 88 only indicated that we have a 48 constituency plus the 5 nominated members. And then there is nowhere, unless if the Election Act so stated. But in Gambia, you could see people residing in Banjul and then they go, register in Koina. Meaning, my understanding is there is no residency requirement that would say that you must be living in this place for a specific period of time in order to register as a constituent member. So what that does is this: any individual from diaspora came from a constituency in Gambia. So you can only register under that constituency or a constituency you choose to make that your constituency. Now, National Assembly has the power to come with, legislation and indicated that going forward, anyone who is going to, register in any one of these 48 constituencies, you must live there for at least 6 months or a year. So that's the only time this impediment could occur. But as it stands right now, unless these National Assembly members that are here are telling us that is in our Election Act, because that would be the only subsidiary legislation I'm unaware of that indicated like a residency requirement, then every diaspora should be able to register under the constituency you come from. And then that's where your vote would be tallied when it comes to parliament. But for presidential, it doesn't matter what constituency you are in. You could just vote. That's just for overall voting. That's one. And then two, to Keck's point, Supreme Court has the power to enforce that. Whether they have money or not, it doesn't matter. You cannot register people for voting. And then Supreme Court indicates that every Gambian of this requirement is eligible to vote. But National Assembly wanted to abdicate that by claiming we don't have the money, because our constitution, there's a prohibition on equal treatment. So you cannot allow others to vote and some others not to vote. They can actually enforce it, just like we have seen it happen here in the US in Brown v. Board of Education 1. When the pronouncement was made, the states were like, oh, we cannot do it. And then Brown 2 came. And then that's where we have that famous phrase, with all deliberate speed. And then you have marshals escorting people to schools. The court has the power to do that. And then they have inherent jurisdiction to do that. So I think what happened, it's political. If they don't want to register diaspora, that's fine. But the legislation is there, and then the court has spoken. I think the next step for most Gambian, and then like Coach and others, is go back to Supreme Court and then require a specific performance to enforce that. That's what's going to happen. And then once Supreme Court does that, if the government, which executive should enforce the Supreme Court decision, if they decided that we are not going to do it, then we are going to find ourselves in a constitutional crisis, meaning there is no longer a rule of law. But until then, I think the best course of action would be diaspora, if they want to enforce this, go back to Supreme Court and then actually, ask for enforcement of this right. But the National Assembly members, this is what I cannot understand. We can all agree that Gambia, there is a deficit in terms of, capacity in National Assembly to draft legislation. And then that's fine. It's not that I'm shading them. Not everyone came from that law enforcement background or even legal background. But what we know, National Assembly House, quoted in 2018 that they need National Assembly Service Legislation Act for them to be independent. And then that was created. It created that independency of that institution. So what happened, they hire their own people, they have their own draftments and everything, meaning they should even have, like how we have congressional budget here, National Assembly should know every legislation that's drafted, how much it's going to cost the government, how much job is going to increase, whether it's going to create deficit or whatnot, because that's what that agency is for. They have that independent, they are now an institution. And then they hired experts, including draftmen, to actually draft their legislation. And one of the points is those draftmen, whatever legislation that comes to them, if you do your initial drafting, you have to review that legislation to see whether it actually conflicts with any provision of the Constitution. So if I know none of these members draft this the bill, so either the Attorney Generals drafted the bill or they drafted it in-house. So if you are telling me this was drafted in-house, either those who drafted it are incompetent, they never do their job, and then they should be fired. So if they're actually competent and then they stand by their, their review and then indicate that there is no conflict with the Constitution, why would that happen last minute? Pass the legislation. If the government believe you have exceeded your authority, Let them also go to Supreme Court and then see whether that legislation is unconstitutional. But pass it, because someone in-house reviewed that legislation and tell you that this draft is okay as is. Because you don't draft it. So why all of a sudden you change your position in that initial draft? Because you never had the capacity to draft in the first place. Someone has been helping you to draft each and every law. But now you want to claim expertise at the committee stage when you cannot even draft the initial document? That's an insult to the intelligence of Gambians. Yeah, so just say, I don't want to vote for it because I believe the constituency doesn't respect, and then people will respect you. Pick a position, but do it honestly. That's what I think the conversation should be about.
Thank you very much, guest expert. I mean,
thank you.
I really feel bad because he's been on for a long time, and we need to hear from him. Mr. Ba, come in, and then we're gonna get reaction from Honorable Mente and Balo as well, based on some of these statements I've been made. Bakari, yeah, I mean, come on in, my man.
Very soon, it's time to break our fast here in the next 10 minutes or so. Huh?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Jerejef, Uncle Musa, and then thank you to all your panelists and regards to all the viewers. Ñun fi London ñu ngeen dogu, so maa ngi multitask, and I appreciate this opportunity. To be quite honest, I was enjoying this conversation, and I really appreciate the intervention of brother Sadio Barrow, who is a legal and a lion-minded brother in this subject matter. Man, suma contribution, right, Uncle Musa Moine, there is lack of political will, because you know, all this process has been going on, and I was in the Gambia, and to be quite honest, I spent 2 hours at the National Assembly. Lumagis, that level, there is a lot of remote controlling happening at the National Assembly. I can sit down here and comfortably say that, because Nine said how this voting has happened. All the entire 14 or all the entire MPs that are aligned with the MPP or the nominated ones, they voted. No one has voted opposite.
Exactly.
So that tells you something. Moine, there is a change of heart, because you know the facts are there. We've been talking about this for the past few years. In fact, there was an argument a couple of years ago. The only reason why the registration could not go ahead because there was no budget allocated to that. That was the argument, but there was no argument like it's unconstitutional or nila fademe. And also, I've listened to both the honorables, and I think it's very important sometimes our honorable brothers also you consult. I'm fortunate enough now to work at a place we know all like the heart of the democracy in the UK, which is at Parliament. There is a lot of like bad dealing that happens behind the background. Being a man is an eye opener to me, including even the PM sometimes having a conversation with the opposition leader when it comes to matters of national interest. And I think that's what needs to happen at our level at the National Assembly. I don't believe there is enough conversation that interacts between the different MPs. And when it comes to such matters, it's a matter of national interest. These people might not be there in 2027. Barrow might not be there in 2026. But what happens at National Assembly get registered and it stays with history. And Tenyom, they had the opportunity. In fact, like they're saying there is a need for a constitutional amendment. Now, the point here is, yes, even if there is, and I'm saying the word even if, they are within their powers to amend that same constitution, because it's not something that is entrenched. So it's a very cheap excuse to say that there is a need for this, but you have the power to do something about that, but you fail to act upon that. And I can just summarize Purwahne, like we the diaspora, the unfortunate thing is we have been disfranchised, and it's violation of our constitutional right, because the fundamental qualification fee moine, you should be a Gambian. That's the number one requirement, regardless of which party affiliation you are, Gambian. Then the other requirements of a sound mind, 18 and all that. And look, even our neighbors, Senegal, are doing that. Senegal have 15 parliamentarians based in the diaspora out of their 165. We can learn the good things from our neighbors. In fact, I'm glad Coach Wanakofi, Professor Jibril Fall, there is this thing group called the Gambia Diaspora Vote. I mean, there, the likes of Antinde Jobate, Professor Jibril, they did the work for the IEC and this government. You present them with facts and findings. In fact, where we are resided at, and we're not talking the diaspora only, so why Europe or North America, even in Africa. So all the work has been done for this executive and even for this legislature. All they needed to do was to honor and make sure they uplift our fundamental right. But now, there is still a good chance. The likes of Mbalo have just come and said, hadn't been they knew what they knew now,
Correct.
things might be different. So
Which
it's
is very
still
clear.
not late. It's never too late to do the right thing. I think what
Yes.
they need to do is let them revisit this and bring this again and have a conversation, because we should not be continue to be disfranchised. It's unfair, it's violating our rights, and we are a very important constituent to the Gambia. Lola Amampur contribute. Thank you so
Thank you
much
very
for the
much.
opportunity.
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. It was good that you hang around. We definitely needed to hear from you. I mean, Honorable Mbalo, I want to give you the opportunity to react to some of the things that you heard from Sergio Barrow, Pa Samba, and I mean, and Mr.
Oh,
Baz.
Musa, our guest says 10 minutes, so he has about 5 minutes. Why can't you just give maintain
because time to
the
break.
close?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, because we are going to break our fast very soon. I pay attention to all the details and explanation regarding this particular topic, and I am sure many other National Assembly members listen to this very quietly in their various corners. The only thing, the ball is in the left, is in the court of the diaspora. Look at the effects of your remittance, on this country by way of investment, financial stability, foreign exchange reserves, economic growth, and put sanction on us just to make sure that this is passed. You need to take a very bold step and to make sure that we at least feel, you at least make us feel this pain. And by way of that, I'm sure National Assembly members can reintroduce this thing, and the diaspora will vote in the 2026 presidential election. No doubt about that. So it's glad to be here. But honestly, it's time for me to go and break my fast. And it's a pleasure to be with all of you. And for me, our position is clear. We want the diaspora to vote, and we are committed to this being recalled. So talk to the other National Assembly members. We engage each other and to make sure that your rights are restored. Your rightful rights are restored, as is prayed by the Supreme Court.
So this is not going to be the last time. We are going to call you on issues that may not be very comfortable. Why will doubt it?
No.
Farabos, I think he said we diaspora need to press, but I think NAM, UDP, NAM Independent, NAM APRC, NAM NPR, NRP needs to talk.
Correct.
You need to extend an olive branch. I mean, I learned a lot listening to Mr. Mbalo. There is obviously a capacity gap, and we need to fill that in. And you need to be a deal maker. Make the deal for Yaya.
Yes.
Please.
Definitely.
We will continue doing that, even though it's not as easy as Honorable Mbalo put it, but I know National Assembly, all operations go on by partisan tricks. Partisan tricks is very difficult to.
But did you guys take any move though proactively before the vote? Did you guys kind of meet with behind the scenes and trying to convince some of these the people on the other side?
Before, I told you, as early as 9 o'clock, they started their suspicious movements. You cannot control them at that moment.
But I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about your side.
Did you extend your hand to the other side and say, "Come, let's talk"? Yes.
Because in the U.S., there's what they call
the other side. There is NPP. No. In the full disclosure of facts, there is only two parties in the National Assembly: NPP and UDP. All these independent, they are either affiliated to UDP or NPP. No, trust me.
But you still got to talk to them, though. You have to talk to those are the swing voters. You have to do your utmost to get them in your camp. So that's what Musa is trying. He's a chief strategist. He's trying to give you a little bit of wisdom here. You gotta talk behind the scene.
If I want to talk to Mr. Njeng, I think I'll call you Mr. Njeng. I want to talk to you, and you stand and talk to me, right?
Yeah. Oh, you mean
I can't follow you driving where I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. You must stand with me, and I talk to you. But this is when they are up to something, they don't even stand with you.
I spoke to Mr. Jiba yesterday.
Okay.
And I have to be honest.
Yes.
Just a one-on-one conversation.
Correct.
It looks like this is someone that if you guys had engaged him, maybe he would fall.
No. Mr. Gang, I know that. You see, what Suleiman Sao said in the morning, Honorable Sao rather, Honorable Jiba came to him and told him, anything they bring, let's reject it. especially this diaspora voting. Suleiman told him that they are up to removing this diaspora voting. Let's insist. So the same honorable member went and vote against it. So imagine. So please, I know it's
Musa, you have to let my uncle go to eat his iftar.
Yes, and I want to get Kex also.
Marimba already prepared that. Okay.
I want to get Kex also
But I'm
because he's going to
always
break us down.
open to this kind of frank and professional conversations going forward. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Sarah Mandra Sunding, you know.
No.
So Kex, before I break your fast, we thought you just said something before we go to Honorable Mbalo. Kex, your last words. Kex, can you hear me? Kex. Yeah, his connection mon benen affaire la. Kex, can you hear me? Kex.
Well, he seems like he's talking. We are not just hearing him.
Kex, we can't hear you. You can interject anytime. Kex. We can hear. Honorable Mbalo.
Yeah, Musa, Sariang and Honorable Yaya and Jivim Mbalo, just to say thank you. And the moment we start to have such conversation, that we will always have a way out. And I think this conversation has created a room where Mbalo is ready to listen to Mr. Mente, and why Mr. Mente also want to listen to to convince each other for the betterment of the country. And once we have conversation, we will definitely have a way out. But it's time for us to hold the National Assemblies accountable, and I'm challenging them on this platform for them to make sure that the recall clause, that is the section 92 of the Constitution, that clearly stated that National Assembly members can be recalled if they are not performing their function as National Assembly members. But it went further to say that there must be an act of parliament that will create the procedures and the manners how you will recall your members. If National Assembly members can hold the executive accountable, they can hold everybody accountable. They can even call people and summon them in the national, to at least produce as an oversight function. They should also be held accountable by the people who elect them into office, and those are the electorate. So they should be recalled, and I think they should be bold enough to have that provision in place before the end of the 6th legislation, whereby when we are dissatisfied with their performance, we can just use that provision, whereby 3/3 of the elected members will write a petition to IEC to say that we don't want Mr. Kemes and Sane to represent us in the National Assembly because he doesn't serve in our interest. And
yeah. Yeah, the connection with Kex is definitely
Bad.
Honorable Mbalo. Honorable Mbalo, are you there?
The election, so that people will know that moving, I think we should look into that direction. But apart from that, let's continue the conversation. It's a good conversation, and once we discuss, we'll have a better Gambia that all of us can be proud of.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kex. Honorable Mbalo. Honorable Mbalo, are you there? Because Honorable Mbalo can't hear me. Go ahead, Sariang.
So Musa, I think these conversations, generate a bit of curiosity on my part, and for we can all sit here and think that these people know every single thing, but by engaging, I think at least you put yourself in their shoe a little bit, and I think the conversation needs to continue. For this part, I want to talk to them as much as possible. Understand. Yes. What do they understand about this particular clause, Musa? And I think you beginning to get the gist of what is the devil's in the detail, right? So, and I think there's a movement there. So, but Honorable Mbalo is here. I'll let him talk.
So I'm not sure whether you were listening to some of these comments that were made by Sajo Barrow was here, and then Kex and Pasamba. I'm not sure whether you had the opportunity to listen to what they had to say.
Yes, I was really listening very, very well and very keenful. The bottom of the matter is I thank all of you for the opportunity to talk to the viewers. And then also I made it clear that my voting, the reason of my voting, and I'm subjected to being put on the right track because I in the belief that what I did at that particular time was right. But once we engage one another and we stop doing, tricking politics on issues that are fundamental for the citizenry, nobody should come up with any tactical trick to ensure that I am the devil, the other one is the whatsoever. So I thank all of you, and the doors are open. I think with this kind of conversation, we are able to do a lot of things. And I want to tell Kex that most of us are held accountable because, like, as I'm talking to you, my diaspora, they wrote to me, particularly in our WhatsApp forum, for me to explain. That is one of form that they are putting me accountable to say, why do you do this? They need to get the reasons from me. And I learned something that once we do a proper consultation, it will help. But here, I want the legal element like Mr. Barr to help us. As lawmakers and pro-government MPs, we don't also want to circle the government on things that we feel that there is a constitutional binding. Because why was it necessitated to ensure that we have to do a constitutional amendment? Was there any necessity of that? Because this is what is coming. And the minister did not influence our voting. We were engaged in separate areas. And this thing keep popping up. So I will challenge Musa and all of you to try to look at the rationale why those experts in telling us for us to do this, we need a constitutional amendment. Was that not a misinformation? Or if that is an information, I would definitely want to get a script right up so that I will also use this thing to talk to my colleagues. Because meaning that now I also have a knowledge gap over some of them. So let's continue this conversation. There is still room for improvement because I believe that the diaspora belongs to all political parties. No political party can, nobody can tell us that I have a strong force in the diaspora than the other political party. I come from the NPP. I believe that the most of the diaspora are supporters of NPP. So this is my belief. So,
If I
I
may
thank
ask
you.
you, maybe you have more insight on this. And then when this bill was drafted, was it drafted in-house by the legal draftsman that National Assembly hired?
No, this was drafted by the institution itself, IEC. They leaded it, they hire a consultant who draft this.
Okay, so
And
when they
because it's an
drafted it, did they bring it to, like usually when bills come to Parliament, they give it to your in-house legal. You have initial consultation to make sure the bill is okay before you even bring it to the floor to read about it. Was that done? If you know?
Yes, that was done. Yes, a
And then
committee
at
was
that time, there was no issue regarding constitutionality or Section 39, and everyone agreed this bill as written. There is no, issue or it doesn't run afoul of the Constitution for the Speaker to even read it in Parliament, correct?
there was issues because when the committee made their consultations and come up with a report. And that report is what we use to guide us. And in
No,
that
committee stage. That
consultation,
was committee stage. That was before the first reading.
No, I said that the bill was committed to a committee.
Before the first reading?
Yes, after the first reading, after the second reading, the bill was committed to a committee for them to do a stakeholder engagement.
Oh yeah, no, I see that part, and then that's where you guys voted on based on what the committee actually indicated. But my question is, before first reading was done, this bill had to go through, because National Assembly is now an institution after that act, so it has to go through your in-house legal to review it to make sure they felt like this bill, is in line with the Constitution. For in fact, the Speaker to have the, some kind of confidence to actually place the bill as part of your initial agenda, have the first reading, pass through the second reading before it goes to the committee stage. I
No,
would
it's
think
not that's not the case here. The bill is brought from an institution to the National Assembly. It was gazetted, and now it become a document of the National Assembly. So the National Assembly committed to a committee. They do the stakeholder engagement and they reported to the office of the whole assembly.
So before the first reading or the second reading, no National Assembly member had an opportunity to review this bill until it came out of committee. That's what I'm understanding.
Yes, except the committee that is responsible of constitutional matters and the committee that is doing and performing oversight on IEC.
So you all voted at the first reading and the second reading, and then you don't even know what you were voting for? Because that's what I'm understanding from you.
No, we understand what all the procedures that we do. We voted that the bill should be committed to a committee to do the job on behalf of the parliament. So when they go and do the job on behalf of the parliament, they report to the parliament.
Okay,
So
I
this,
mean, I understand. So, but at the committee stage, so the committee, they did external consultation with, I suppose, lawyers in the country that tells them that, hey, contrary to what IEC bring forth to National Assembly, we believe this bill is problematic. So if did the committee tell you, the legal persons or the institution they consulted, was Gambia Bar Association consulted, their constitutional section for them to opine on this? Or did your own legal in-house also opine on it and then advise you that our position is this bill is problematic before the voting? Because I
no,
would
the bill
assume that
is
was
not
done.
problem. No, the bill is not problematic. The bill is just like any other bill that followed the normal process. Like I said, the bill was introduced to the National Assembly, first reading, second reading, it was committed to a committee. The committee did their findings, did their stakeholder engagement, and come up with a report. And that report was accepted. And that report now, from that report now, we are doing a community of the whole house, clause by clause. So during this process, clause by clause, the committee lead to say the committee, after a stakeholder engagement, this was what they found. Now it's left on members to agree with the committee or not.
No, I know that.
And this
I
thing is
understand that part. What I want to know, the committee, because they
no,
were doing
our
your job.
legal team.
Yeah.
No, our legal team and our legal team would only be this thing if it is not coming from the parliament. If it is coming from the parliament, they will draft it. But if it is coming outside, meaning that they get a legal firm that was doing the consultation and draft that bill. So they guide us on the constitutional part that we are dealing with.
So, but let's
So
suppose you are a National Assembly member. Don't you have the right, if a bill is brought and then it doesn't matter who drafted it, to go to your in-house legal and let them know, hey, I'm from constituency X. I want you to tell me this bill, explain to me as a 4-year-old, does this bill, sit well with the constitution? Do you find any issues, for instance? Because what I'm understanding, committee did a consultation, and then through that consultation, they realized that there might be some issues with some of the sections. And then when they report that back as a committee of the whole house, you guys were asked about that question. But in order for you to make an informed decision, my thinking would be if the committee bring a report and then they flag this issue, National Assembly members would actually talk to their own in-house, lawyers, the ones you are paying to advise you, to at least know what their position is regarding the committee's contention, one. And then two, you would want to know what law firm or legal luminaries the committee consulted that actually opine on that finding. At minimum, you need to have those things to make a informed decision. That's what I'm trying to get at. Were those information provided to you as an assembly member to know how you vote?
Yes. What happened is, like I'm telling you, the committee have consulted, I believe, even the Bar Association. They also do their own observations. They will place it to us. So you want to understand, this is one part. There are other parts that they will agree and we will not agree, because there are two things: the experts and the in alignment with the constitution, and also what do they want to what mischief did that particular section want to address.
So
now
mbalo lafta nyinin kala dole ngabere sadio be dami nyinin kaka ni ajibe atol fon parliament yala ale legal department so jela kodi.
Yes.
Okay, so ngabere kam nyinin kadro nin ko min fenne be kuma kangolo be nyin section economy alonko afahamia mansenia bake wala fenne bije mi alonko amanko ima bake. Ale mol sutole mini alonko loyal mini alonko be house nyin kono mini alonko sitano woli ayi nyininka ka fo ko dukar na fahamia timmandi pour nga yali ma ko pour nga nyin kalamuta fo anim banko la sartu ta dala ni banko la luata dala famanta.
Yes, we have that. Those draftmen are dead, very intelligent and smart. They are there.
Because the reason I ask is because there was one person who corrected the justice minister in terms of actually the clause and where it says IEC needs to demarcate the constituency. Someone says, he says, it has been brought to my attention. So I knew someone is down there. Correct. So sadio la faham lo min ale bilol nim bilol natal nyaado ko bilo sifa min ko nyi pour ala faham ya e senia mol bela across the board ale mol so le min ya lon katul fon sitano wuli ali a foeko we don't forget about ba associate no alka min jo kodola ka fo ko alnga si ale nyin kuma kan ol tandina pour nga faham ay senia wet nyanta kele nyame ale o so anu bigo wala do ko manke fo bilo abe ay government fasa wala opposition wala do ko minti doro ila do ko minti wala ka nyin kuma kan o jibe ka fasaratu le pour alla faham roye you know I wara so akanga ber sadio bo dulal nyin ka fali wolo ale o suma ko ro bunda so do jel fal mo so.
Yes, now old Marco Robunda Sotole, the legal team is there. If you see during the procedures, Nintatafang, a member have the right to ask for clarity.
Okay. Thank you.
Let me, Balo, this is good to know. Maybe that would help me understand Ila Senko. Covering IEC below that now, and then yeah, Diatola. My thinking would be at least Alpha standing order would require at least a below Diala for some time before a force reading from probably Alpha familiarize with the bill like Alo Minaba Kono. At least by speculate Boka, tonight documento Diala, yeah, read on the National Assembly agenda and then Alia vote at the first reading. Imalo Minefang BG, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you'll deal. So Kabrat will be a sort of no. At that point, the committee or maybe a la momo where you caucus with maybe nibe NPP, be UDP, a little la in-house lawyer, okay, I see for any below for that.
Yes.
If there are any issues like
below in Natale, the bill was committed. Yalo nyim below nata assembly, nyim below meta in the assembly. Some of us were not there. But that is not an excuse. When the bill was gazetted for now, every member was submitted a copy. And it does not only stop there. The bill was popularized to members. That the IEC themselves or the team, the people responsible of the bill, popularize the bill by engaging members outside, just like any other stakeholders, to give them the merits and key mischief areas that what the bill wants to address. So for people like me that we are learning, we want to look at what key thing that the bill wants to address. And we want to look at whether is that in conformity with the law, with the constitution.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So this is what we're going to do. Now, after that, these people, after the consultation, they will tell us where there are some controversials. Even in their consultancies, people will have different opinion on that. So during those things, we will consult the tribal team. What does the constitution align to this? That's why I said, let's look at section 39.1. And that 39.1 is where now I said an expert opinion. Every National Assembly, we had the subject matter specialist. Some of us, like me particularly, I've asked some of them, the subject matter specialists, on these clauses, because I'm getting stories that if we have gone these things, we technically violated the standing or the constitutional provision. So here, this engagement, that engagement, that's where it is. So even, it depends on how lawyers interpret clauses, I don't know. But then this is what we have. We are given all the opportunity to do a consultation with our legal team. And on the day of the consultation, these legal teams are there. In the event that we have disagreement on the conformity to the constitution, then we will seek for advice, either the justice minister or our legal team. And you can see them all the time consulting and giving us advice. So in fact, these 39.1 clauses, this was well dealt on. And if you follow the proceedings, you can see that an advice was given.
So, Mr. Mbalo, I have a question. You talked about at the committee stage, these were the people responsible for looking at the bill itself before it was brought to the whole assembly, right?
Yes.
So they went through a vote, did they?
With people?
At the committee stage?
Yes, the committee of whole house, we do vote clause by clause.
So I'm talking about at the committee stage. I mean, they must have voted to say, okay, we're going to bring it to the whole house, correct?
Yes, yes.
So do you know how they voted? Let's say your NPP colleagues at that level?
Basically, I did not know. I cannot know that because for me, like I said, I do a lot of consulting. And one of the things, any bill put to me, I have somebody that I assume to be an expert on that area and give him some of the areas that I feel are controversial for him to advise me. So I don't know whether some of my colleagues do to that later. But that's why I said I stand on the ground that with the expert advice that I was given, it has some contrary to the constitutional alignment. So as a result, all we need to do is primarily to do a constitutional amendment to make sure that if we want clause 14 to stand, prior we need to do a constitutional amendment of section 39(1).
Yeah. We have Mr. Saul Baji. Saul.
Wow.
So I'm sure you've been listening for the past couple of hours. I mean, what's your take?
Greetings to everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, my greetings to all of our Gambian members and the National Assembly members who came to join the platform. Mr.
Thank you.
Mbalo and Mr. Sanyang who left. I think it shows that they understand the severity of the decisions they have made, or those who voted in making sure that the diaspora continues to enjoy their rights to participate in our dispensation. What I would tell our fellow Gambians here is Adama Barrow has not changed whatever directions he wants. So we've been saying this since 2017. Whatever he bites, he makes sure that he chooses. It is up to us, Gambians, to recognize the enormity and the severity of our situation. I was listening to Esambai Fal the other day. He was talking in a different platform, and he emphasized the fact that this bill, as Coach Pasambajau just alluded to a few minutes ago, that this was drafted since the time of Batabidu, 2018, this bill. And in 2021, somehow, I think they completed it. And it was sitting in their possession up until now. The point that we should raise now is this is the month of Ramadan, Musa, and I'm glad you mentioned this the other day. That yalla dal ñom ñi dem vote against this. Mr. Mbalo, I will forgive you, but I think there has to be repercussions and consequences for doing what they did, whether you're part of it. And I think you're beginning to have some remorse because your constituents, the people in the diaspora, are calling you and asking you why you voted in the decision of disenfranchising the diaspora. We cannot be disenfranchised. And it's funny, Musa, I don't understand where the disconnect is. The 2024 Borough Draft Constitution, you have argued in favor of to some extent because of some of the things you like. Those include all my witness, all of our people here are you supported.
No, but I want to be coded correctly. I was never
correctly fun. I'm not telling you what you did. You spent a lot of time.
I'm not gonna let this fly. Hold on. Hold on. I was never in favor of the 2024 draft, but I have always said, let's allow it to go past the second reading so that amendments can be made to make it a better bill. That's all I said. There is a difference. I don't care for the 2024 draft. I would vote against it, but I believe that it needed to get to the next level so that we can give and take and make the changes to reflect what is on the 2020 draft. Bro, I'm as consistent as the Northern Star. Seriously, I never wavered. And I still
Northern Star. You're not
knowing what you know up to this point. Knowing what you know up to this point, how likely is that conversation moving forward and giving it a chance?
The fact that they've pulled it back in order to re-engage, again, for me, it's about finding common ground. Make it a bill that reflects the 2020 draft. I want a new constitution, but that's for another day, Saul.
Thank you very much, Musa.
I have to go to a funeral, so we're going to be wrapping it up very quickly.
Okay, and, so quickly, I appreciate you actually giving me the opportunity to kind of talk about what I think we should focus on. The National Assembly, really, as Sarien just mentioned, they have a legal department that advises them. But they should have asked the Attorney General Dawda Jallow, who I think is using some of the National Assembly members who are not nuanced, so your keyword, in the Constitution, to circulate things and lead them awry. This is what he has been doing. The guy, according to what they said, came and took a group of people and talked to them into buying into the idea of voting down our rights to participate. It's a constitutional right. This is not something that you debate over. Just like somebody said, you can't tell people who live in Serakunda that if they came from Basse, they shouldn't be allowed to go to Basse and participate in the election. Simply put, Musa, the Constitution put it in such a way that we should participate in the elections. But we have not participated in the elections in 60 years, especially the past 20 some odd years. Now, the past 8 years actually become even more important because we put in what we thought was a democracy. Adama Barrow has not allowed us to participate in the elections. And Coach is here. They've heard from the Supreme Court that we should participate. We shouldn't have this debate about funds, about demarcations or whatever it is. Just like Menten Sanyang said, when they give the mandate and allocation or appropriation to the IEC, with the funds that they gave him in 2021, we failed to recognize this. It was this guy, the former finance minister, Mamburenjai, who actually was questioned in the parliament. Mr. Mbalo can correct me. They asked him, what happened to the funds that we gave the IEC for the diaspora to participate in the 2021 elections? And he said they should ask the IEC about that. So my point is, Musa, us Gambians in the diaspora, we are in excess of close to 400,000 citizens who should probably be able to participate. Man Johena numbers in Atlanta. From the 2019 survey that was done by credible Gambians, Umar Kebe to his credit, and the embassy in Washington, D.C. We have, back in 2019, about 227,000 Gambians, if you give and take, between 2019 and now. We should have that amount. Suñ fa yoke suñ city ak suñ domi nga xamne legally by the constitution, they by default should be able to participate in the elections. We have in excess of close to 350 to 400,000 Gambians here in the diaspora. Well, lan moo tax ñu foog ne they have the right to disenfranchise us. Ñu luñ wara def fii, just in conclusion, Musa, mooy ne nañ xalaat these numbers that we have and the 776 million we have contributed in dollars. If you add the amount of money that Musa Jeng takes, Musa Jeng sa him deme Gambia, he's taking in $30,000, $40,000 in his pocket. While Chahan Smaji, you know, Sarian Sweden Muyobu, Sarian takes about that same amount. Coach Pasam Bajau. You put those numbers together, you're talking in excess of $2 billion, Musa. This is what we're contributing to contribute. So maybe we need to start to rethink this Adama Barrow guy. Deliberately, you get the floor. The Independence Stadium is being put in the chopping block. They want to mortgage it to some other company. So what is going to be left in that country?
That's going to be another conversation. Actually, okay. I think they're doing the right thing because I know about Independence
Stadium. You think they're doing the right thing? Sarian, did you hear what Musa Jeng said?
Yes.
I just can't believe this, Musa.
You know why? You know why?
Musa, your guest is there. Give him a closing remarks, Mr. Mbalo. That
we will come back and then we will talk about the Independence Stadium. The reason why I jump on it, I work there. I know about the stadium and the hostel.
Arama Daniel quickly you Mr. Mbalo Mudana. Magi Jigo, Mr. Mbalo Fogna Warna do Poram. But Musa Luma wax moy ne ñun Gambian ci nekk in the diaspora ñun dañ foolish. I'm sorry to use that word. We are foolish and we have no idea what we are up against. Nine start they talk about what we did back in 2016. You fight anything that is going on right now. We are going to do this. Man mangi wax ak gaay su ko de Adama Barrow yeg na ko yegut ko. Loxo bi nga xamne mom moko feed, you can't cut it off. Ñun ñoko fa taaj. We are going to make a movement like we did in 2016, tenfold, ñu jéné ko fa, teg for government boo xam ne dinañ jox the right to participate. Forget about this. They will never give us the right to participate from 2026. What we need to prepare is more than raise funds. That's my participation.
Thank you,
Thank you, Musa.
as usual. Mr. Malo, yeah, you're just closing
Yes.
statement. I mean, I know you're in New York, so you're in the same boat. We wouldn't be carrying our fast for the next couple of hours. So, but
Yes.
again, I appreciate you. We were trying to bring someone from your side, really, like I said earlier, contacted Jiba and then Ala Jumbo, but thank God you just text and said, hey, send me the link. So that says you are not afraid to come here and explain, defend your position, or at least take responsibility. I mean, that says a lot, and we appreciate that. Your final remarks, Honorable Mbalo.
Yeah, thank you very much for being part of the platform. I am really happy. I just want people to emulate my diaspora people. They were not hostile to me, like the life of Almame Gassama, Makalo, Ibrahim Asise. All they did was they put me to the spot. Why do you take this decision? And then I need to explain more and more for them to understand why. But with this engagement, I realized that there is room for me to revisit my decision. And I thank all those people that are providing me with information. So I believe that this is the Gambia that we all want. Let's consult one another. And I hopeful that there is not much late. We can still go back to the committee of the whole house and rescind our decision based on the important issues that we are come. We are also committed and concerned about Gambians in the diaspora, and we pray that your problem would be solved. All we needed was to be given the rightful information. So I thank you, all of you, and I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Honorable Mbalo. Thank you, Honorable Mbalo. What you've displayed today, without a doubt, is an honorable gesture, and no one can take that away.
Musa, hopefully, for the people, by the people, was nice to Miss Honorable Mbalo as well, too, right? we were nice, right?
I think we were, okay. especially the sailor from Vancouver. I think today I gotta give you the thumbs up. Seriously.
Okay, thank you.
I gotta take the middle road. We this is nation building. It's gradual. We can't be we can't be rigid,
so,
man.
Mbalo, let's find a way, convince the other members, and let's come to it because we want to participate. For me, I have always said this. When people talk about 760 million that we pump into the economy, for me, that's not even the justification for us to be given the right to vote. I sent money to the Gambia not because of I want to be given the right to vote. I should be able to vote because I'm a Gambian. The Constitution gives me that right. It has nothing to do with, because whether I'm given the right to vote or not, I am still going to help my folks. A lot of money that you send this Ramadan, Sariyang, it has nothing to do with, issues, whether the government is good or bad. Neither do I. We do it for our parents, but we are an important constituency. And I hope the Honorable Mbalos and some of these other folks will rethink their vote, change it, so that at least we will begin to have the opportunity to vote come 2026. It can be done. And Sariyang, we're not gonna really sit down and allow this thing to. There are things that people are talking about. We want to take our message to the government. There is talk about mass mobilization. For us, come together. I know in the diaspora we have our differences here and there, partisans and this and that. But when it comes to these fundamental issues, new constitution, and also for the diaspora to vote, I think we all agree on that. And that's one issue that's to bring us together and make sure 2026 we will have the opportunity to vote. And hopefully by June, when they reintroduce this new constitution, we'll end up with a new constitution. Brother Sarian, you have the last word.
I think the conversation needs to be ongoing, but I also think that they have to be put on notice. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to find the numbers of certain names. I mean, I think the fact that people are speaking up and people need to speak louder. I think if you go across from Khartoum to Koina, mm-hmm. whether it be a village or a city or a town, there is diaspora everywhere, irrespective of which political party they belong. So I think the fundamental question comes down to why did they did what they did? And those questions we need to continue putting pressure on these names. They need to know the stake here. So eventually, this is not like a choice that they have. They have to go back, and it sets a stage for diaspora to be organized and mobilized and fight back. This is a fight that I am very happy to have, and we'll continue putting the pressure. But you know, we always forget sometimes when we come on this platform. We tend to talk about Dauda Jallow a lot, but we also remember the person who came in before Dauda Jallow was Ababakar Kambiru, right? He's the one who initiated these electoral reforms, organized, you know, CSOs, you know, bar associations to talk about it. I mean, this is a work that he passed along to Dauda. And I honestly felt that if Bar was in that chamber that day to talk about the Constitution, 39-1, I think you will see a fundamentally different take on that. He would stand for Gambia. That's what we know. But also, we all need to remind everyone, he's been nominated for International Court Justice.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, he's qualified, you know, by every measure. So, you know, I mean, I think we need to support. I mean, he did a lot of great things. And today, yes, we were beating on him. I mean, I always get this text from him. You know what? Alimbula.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think he's a great guy, Musa. What do you think about that, man? I mean,
who's that?
Tambiru. If Tambiru was the Attorney General,
are you kidding me? Oh, I am the one who called him one of the best Attorney General we ever had, and I got a lot of flack during those days. They're like, "Hey, I'm like, I'm telling you." And when he was gone, we all realized how much we missed him. I mean, if Batambedu were there, just like you said, it would be a whole different ballgame. I can guarantee you, we would have gotten the diaspora to be voting. I have no doubt about that. But Sariang, like I said, I have to go to this.
I hear you, but Musa, I'm being suspicious of Lamin Tarawa lady there. Today, Coach called I mean, he gave his ratings. Coach called only twice, but he got 85. Most of us got 80.
And how much did I get? Hey, buddy, Lamin, I'm gonna try blocking you now.
No. He said today you are 80, so which is okay.
Oh, 80. Okay.
From 25 to 80. So
why 85? But Sariang, extend my greetings to our beautiful wife Jainaba.
All right, man. Hopefully you're taking care of those beautiful lamb chops.
Those lamb chops, my brother. Oh my goodness. I'm like, whoa. And guys, Sarian sent me 4 boxes of lamb chops from Seattle. So you can tell.
I gotta take care of my boss, man.
To break my fast. But again, thank you all for coming. And we will be back, inshallah, next week. And we will be talking about issues that impact us. And thank you to Yaya Menteng, Honorable Yaya Menteng Sanyang, and Honorable Mbalo for jumping in. Sajo Baro. And you know what? I was looking for his number yesterday. We needed someone like Sajo.
We always keep in touch, you know. We always keep in touch, yeah.
So I'm glad that he did. Very level-headed.
He's a great guy, man. Great perspective. And I think, Musa, one thing I learned, let's have these conversations ongoing. Don't be hard on people. Don't call people names and all that. You know, I think one thing I learned from even having conversation with Mr. Mbalo, I mean, he's being honest and coming in here. It takes a lot of courage to say, okay, the information that I had before and now I have something different. So I think hopefully he goes in there.
It says a lot more
with others, you know. Yeah,
it says a lot more. What the guy?
Yeah, I'm gonna call Fonyi Jarol a name, Mr. Sane though. He's my name from Sintet. I'm gonna tell him if he doesn't change his vote, he's gonna have a primary, and I'm gonna pick, and I'm gonna sponsor those people, and I'm gonna mobilize everybody to vote against him. That's the fight we have to put up.
I've never been crazy about Almami Jiba, but I have to be honest. Talking to him with position that he has taken, he's malleable. I think if one engage, especially the diaspora, and tell, look, this is the thing. I think we can change minds. I seriously believe that. But anyway, we will be back next Sunday, inshallah.
Inshallah.
You've been calling me. You're calling too late.
Today you are very fair. Today, Musa, all the cousins are saying Musa was fair and balanced.
I'm always fair.
Kudos to you, man.
Hi, bro.
You didn't even say UDP that much today, so which is great.
Buddy, Hi, man.